made it back. Okay. I thought you were going. Yeah, you're quick. I'll announce that we are adjourned from executive session. Don't I need a roll call?
Commissioner Vetter,
Wait a minute, I need a motion. though.
I make a motion that we adjourn from executive session.
Second.
And roll call, please.
Commissioner Vetter,
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons,
Aye.
Mayor Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner Homan,
Aye.
Commissioner DeBras.
Aye.
All right, we're going to switch things around from the agenda. We have a presentation. We're going to do that instead of the work session about the Mills Brothers mural. If the people would like to come forward. Did you guys bring any video? Or no? Okay. Great. It's not on our screen, so
Oh, it's not?
I'll ask.
It's up there.
I'll ask him. Yeah, I'm going to.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, because you'll want to see this
We got it.
presentation.
Yes.
Wonderful. Are we ready to begin?
Yes, we are ready now.
I'm Ruth Kuhn. I live on Park Avenue, and I am a committed volunteer to Piqua.
Good evening, Commissioners. Lorna Swisher, the previous Executive Director of Main Street Piqua.
So the first thing, we're probably wondering why we are all here, but Lorna and I want to share some good news with all of you. In partnership with Main Street's Piqua Beautification Committee, we would like to announce that we are moving forward with having an outstanding mural of the Mills Brothers painted in downtown Piqua. Lorna and I have talked about this project for a number of years, and now we feel that the timing is right to proceed. Since this is Black History Month, what a perfect time to share this good news with our community. Although we have a memorial of the Mills Brothers in McCullough Square, this mural will be even more visible as it will be painted on the brick facade of the Park National Bank building at the corner of Water and Main Streets. What a great way to recognize and remember these truly outstanding music legends from our community. We want to state also that this is a community project. It is not a city project.
So for those of you who are not familiar with the Main Street Piqua Beautification Committee, we do have a number of responsibilities in the downtown, one of which is, of course, our Downtown Planter Program. Those planters are generally planted about the middle of May, and then we switch them out in the fall. This is a completely paid for by the citizens and donors of the city of Piqua, and then of course we have the fabulous watering crew from the city of Piqua. So it is a partnership between Main Street Piqua and the Beautification Committee, and of course our city of Piqua employees. Another project that we have undertaken in years past was the purchase of the summer patriotic banners, the Fall in Love with Piqua banners, and the holiday banners. These have all been purchased over the last several years, and some years ago, Main Street Piqua donated those all to the city of Piqua, and I think all in all, probably about $50,000 to $60,000 worth of banners. And again, fundraised by Main Street Piqua with donations and grants from our citizens. Another project we did several years ago was the restoration and reconstruction of Canal Place. We did this in cooperation with a number of our community funders, as well as the Girl Scouts, and they got to pick out all the plantings that were in Canal Place at the time. And we have maintained the beautification of that area. And if you remember, there was a lot of heaved concrete, and it looked terrible back there. And we were able to do this project with the wastewater department with the city of Piqua. Most recently, the committee helped with the purchase of the Christmas decorations that we enjoyed in downtown Piqua this last year. Main Street Piqua's Beautification Committee, along with many, many private donors, paid for those decorations, including the star, and then, of course, our City of Piqua employees put up all those decorations. So a lot of what we do is in partnership with the City of Piqua, but this project, as Ruth is going to be talking about with the Mills Brothers, is a project that is being led by the Beautification Committee.
A few years ago, Lorna and I were able to bring the beautiful Piqua mural to our downtown at Quint's Creative Sign. This mural has turned out so well that it's
Move it,
used in marketing.
move the mic closer to you.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
Lorna's hogging the mic. The mural turned out so well that it's been used in marketing our city and in many other situations. But the muralist who painted this mural has become so busy around the world that he's unable to do this project for us. We contacted him to begin with. So the quest began is to find a quality artist who would do justice to the mural for the Mills Brothers. So the Mills Brothers, I don't have to tell many of you about the Mills Brothers and what they meant to our community, and even now as you look back, we probably didn't realize how wonderful they were. My husband has a book by Douglas Friedman titled 4 Boys and a Guitar, which is the history of the Mills Brothers from their beginning through their successful career. Interestingly enough, they mirrored the racial history of the country over the course of their career. Harry, Herb, Don, and John began singing at an early age outside the barbershop where their father worked. The 4 of them, along with their 3 sisters, sang at the Cyrene AME Church that is still standing on the corner of West Ash and Downing Streets and is now surrounded by the new YMCA. They all attended Spring Street School. Their first professional appearance was at May's Opera House on North Wayne Street in 1924. The family moved to Bell Fountain when the boys were in their teens. In 1998, they received a Lifetime Achievement Award at the 40th Annual Grammy Awards in New York. Don, along with his son, John, returned to Piqua in October 2008 to perform at the gala reopening of the renovated Fort Piqua Plaza. They performed with the Glenmore Orchestra to a sold-out audience. As stated in the book I mentioned, their sound was always rich, well-modulated, beautifully blended, and forever swinging. Just to name a few of their songs, Tiger Rag, Glowworm, Cab Driver, Paper Doll, Till Then. I could go on, but perhaps you might want to read 4 Boys and a Guitar. The proposed mural, here it is. We are so proud of it. But there is still some refining we're going to be doing. What we're going to do is have the artist come back to Piqua, project the image on the brick facade of the Park National Bank building, then we will decide on the exact placement and size. As I told you, we had to find a qualified artist and muralist, and that was not an easy task. So we enlisted the help of the Ohio Arts Council, who supplied us with a list of possible candidates, and Lorna and I researched every one of them. We decided on Artisan Rooms, a design group from Columbus. It's a collaboration of artists, Michael Boudreau and Chris McDaniels, who between them have over 39 years of mural and decorative painting experience. Their work has been featured on HDTV and numerous design shows. Their murals can be seen throughout Ohio, including Ohio State University Stadium, North and South Carolina, Atlanta, Florida, California, New Orleans, and the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island, Michigan. Lorna and I met with Michael Boudreau in Piqua and discussed this project. He's very easy to work with and very much a professional. We are comfortable with our choice of Artisan Rooms. So the timeline of this mural installation. We had the very good pleasure of meeting with the City of Piqua Diversity Committee, and were encouraged by their approval and excitement about the mural. We are meeting with you this evening. We have planned also to meet with the Planning Commission on March the 12th to get our necessary licensing and permits. And we would like to begin the project in late spring or early summer. The mural will take between 6 and 8 weeks to complete. Of course, we have Ohio weather to contend with, so it could be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Now, the cost of the project. The muralist fee and design to install is $38,500. The rental fee for the lift, you have to remember that this building is very tall, so we have to rent a lift appropriate for the muralist to get very high on the building. And that is not an inexpensive rental. The price includes pickup and delivery. It's $14,000. Additional insurance or anything else we might incur would be $4,000. So the total cost of what we expect is $56,500. But Lorna's going to tell you some good news about that.
So, oh, sorry, you can't really see this one very well, but the great news is that we already have $34,500 in the bank. We were fortunate at the end of last year to receive a $20,000 grant from the Lungard Foundation. Prior to that, we had received a $10,000 grant from the Schmidlap Foundation. And then when the Piqua Historical Society closed out their books, they gave us $3,400. So we have great news of $34,500 in the bank at the moment. We will be making up the bulk of the remaining amount of $22,000 with some grant applications to not only the Miami County Foundation, but the Piqua Community Foundation. And, of course, we will again solicit our community to help close the gap as well. So anybody who visits mainstreetpiqua.com, clicks on the Donate Now button, they will go directly to a giving page specifically for this project. So any amount of money that somebody wants to support online, they can go to mainstreetpiqua.com, click on Donate Now, and it goes directly into the coffers. And then if you would prefer, you can also send a check to Friends of Main Street Piqua at Post Office Box 1703 here in Piqua. And of course, Friends of Main Street Piqua is a 501c3 organization, so your gift is fully tax deductible. So we are very optimistic that we'll be able to shore up that $22,000 gap with some aggressive fundraising and, of course, the grant applications that we will be submitting here next week and next month. So we are here to answer any additional questions that you might have, and I'm happy to answer anything you may want to know.
Any questions from the commission?
So if you go out to mainstreetpiqua.com, you have a Donate Now button on there right now?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
It was set up this week. So if you scroll down the first part of the page, then there's 6 buttons along the line. The one furthest on the right side says Donate Now. Click on that. It'll take you directly to a giving page.
That'll give me something to do when I get home.
We would appreciate that.
I like the design.
I grew up on big band music because my father believed that I could set the radio station when I was old enough to buy my own car. And so Glenn Miller, Mills Brothers, Tommy Dorsey, all those guys. Yeah, I grew up on this. So I love that you guys are doing this.
Thank you. We're very excited about it, and it's a long overdue recognition of their contribution to us.
Bell Fountain has a mural of sorts, small mural of sorts, but Piqua is their home, and they deserve all the recognition that they can get.
Yeah.
So diversity committee members are here to cheer you on, and we are going to finish working on dedicating the gazebo to the Mills Brothers that's downtown as well. So we got to go in front of the Planning Commission as well. So.
We'll meet you there.
And we'll meet you there. All right.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Are there any other public announcements? I talked to a guy, Steve Stiffel. I'll get with him. He had a public announcement. Next on our agenda is to go to a work session. Before I do that, I want to read the rules of conduct for the Piqua City Commission meetings. During the commission meeting, the following rules of conduct shall apply to any person attending the commission meeting. Now, this is an ordinance of the city of Piqua, so it's Piqua City Ordinance. Persons shall conduct themselves in a civil, respectful manner. No one shall express himself or herself in a manner that interrupts the orderly conduct of the meeting. For example, talking other than when addressed by the commission or city manager, yelling, clapping, jeering, or cheering. Any person violating any of the rules of the commission, conduct shall be warned by the mayor to cease his or her violation of the rule. If said person fails to comply with the mayor's request to cease his or her conduct, the mayor shall direct the person to leave the city premises. Failure to leave the premises when directed to do so may result in criminal prosecution. If a person fails to cease commenting after his or her comment time has expired without extension, the public microphones shall be cut off. The television cameras will not focus upon the person, and the person will be asked by the mayor to sit down. If the person fails to sit down, the mayor shall direct the person to leave the city premises. Failure to leave the premises when directed to do so may result in criminal prosecution. At any time during open forum, if any commissioner believes that the public comment session no longer serves the public interest, he or she may make a motion to adjourn the meeting. If said motion is seconded, all public comment shall cease, and the mayor shall direct the clerk to call the roll to determine if the motion to adjourn shall pass. If the motion passes, the meeting shall be adjourned. This is an ordinance of the city of Piqua, and it will be followed. All right, so next on our agenda is a work session. We're going to discuss the meeting format. Commissioners are going to talk about the current format of the meeting. If you look at the agenda, currently it lists a call to order, the pledge, the roll call, if there's a adjournment to executive session or not, and then from executive session or not, any work session or if necessary, or any public presentation, a consent agenda, which we've had for some time, that we discuss issues, old business, new business, a city manager's report, and the current format has commissioners' comments and then an adjournment from regular meeting and then public comments. The question to the commission is this an acceptable format in which once the adjournment from the regular meeting and public comments are held, but they're not televised? Is that acceptable?
No, I think those public comments need to be televised. I have family members who have lived here in Piqua and no longer live here in Piqua, and they rely on watching this on YouTube, and part of what they look for is the public comments.
So for each item, whether it's old business or new business, there is also public comment, and that is televised.
Right.
All right, it's just the public comment at the end that is not.
Right.
So I'm just making that clear. Any other comments from the commissioners about this format?
I'll just put forward that I also received several communications from citizens over the last 2 weeks expressing people who are infirmed or for whatever reason, maybe a work schedule, are unable to attend the meetings. They also expressed an interest in being able to see the public comment, the general comment, not necessarily just the comments during each piece of new business.
Okay.
I have just a couple clerical type questions that I'd like to ask our law director. And so with any of these instances, my first question is always, what does the law say? So Mr. Patrizio, what are we legally obligated to do here as far as the record keeping for the meeting? How does that fall into this discussion?
So I'll address two things. The record keeping is set forth in 10.18. It's not 100, as far as ordinances are concerned, it's very clear, and that the clerk has to take sufficient minutes to satisfy the ordinance. As far as public comments at the end, it's not 100% clear whether or not those need to be in detailed or if they can even have to be stated. By adjourning out of the meeting, it makes that pretty simple. Even though you would continue on with the meeting, it would certainly take that off the clerk's plate as far as making the public comments, writing in as official minutes of the meeting. However, if 3 commissioners or more stay, there should be general meeting minutes for that section of the meeting. As far as televising is concerned, there is nothing in the statute or in our ordinance that addresses televising. It's been a tradition that's gone on for a long time. But no commission meeting has to be televised, neither the regular agenda part or the public comment section. As far as public comments are concerned, there's nothing in the charter that requires public comments. The ordinance does permit it. However, adjourning out of the meeting and coming back in would satisfy that also.
Thank you. So now that we have the legal basis covered as to what we statutorily have to do, I think now we come back to then what is the precedent that has been set over the last 10, 15, 20 years.
Well, publicizing has gone back since I've moved into town, and that goes back to 1979.
Okay.
So,
And in that time, have the public comments been a part of that televised process?
yes,
And have they been a part of the regular meeting?
they have been part of the regular meeting. I don't know if minutes were kept of them, but going back a ways, I have a feeling they were not.
Okay. And then,
If that's, and we can modify our ordinance to make it very clear that the clerk does not have to keep minutes of that part, or just state that during public comment, the clerk just has to state who came up and talked, and I think that would satisfy.
does the ordinance state whom is allowed to participate in public comment? Is that just for
The
residents
public
of the
comment,
city of
our
Piqua?
current ordinance says it's open to public forum. It just says public forum.
So anyone who happens to be in the chamber is able to participate in public comment?
I believe so, yes.
Is it, does adjourning the meeting and then having some kind of event on the agenda after we've adjourned the meeting, does that create any kind of paradoxes with Robert's Rules of Order that we are specifying a particular event to occur after the meeting has adjourned?
The charter allows, and that's what we go by, the charter allows the commission to establish its own rules regarding a meeting. So as far as Robert's Rules of Order is concerned, we can adjourn out of the meeting and then continue on. Public comments as a separate part. That's not an issue at all. And if the commission would like to do that, what it would do for commissioners and also staff members, if a commissioner had something to do or could not stay, they could leave. If, like I said, if 3 stay, you do have to take some minutes. It would continue on as a regular meeting. So,
As far as the comments taking place after the regular meeting, to me, legalese or not, it just says to me that, that our citizens, we're treating them as though they are apart from and not a part of.
If we record what they say, or not what they say, but what was done, but not what they said, they're part of it.
Right, but I mean, even having this as, because before, the public comments were a part of the meeting. Okay? Just like our citizens are a part of this process. And now with this being an afterthought, it just seems to me as though we're treating them as though they are apart from us and not a part of us.
I would disagree with that, but.
I do support having public comment at the end,
Same.
whether it's in the regular meeting or not. I do like that placement. It gives the citizens the final word, whether it's televised or not.
Agreed.
And I do like that as a format.
I would agree with you.
And then I will also, just to make sure that it's clear to everybody, I'll echo what you said earlier, which is that the public is still invited for 5-minute comments
Oh,
with
yeah.
each piece of new business, which is televised and part of the meeting, and pertains specifically to the issues that the meeting is about. I guess for general airing of grievances, which is provided for in the First Amendment, televising or not does not affect that.
Televising doesn't affect it. No.
And you're as
Not
mayor,
opposed
as
to
mayor,
televising
as mayor, you're planning on continuing to have the town hall meetings and,
Oh, yeah.
kind of the third Thursday.
it. Our next town
things.
hall is March 28th.
Gotcha. So there remains forum for general discussion and grievances.
So what are we thinking? We could keep the current format that is presented tonight, or we can just continue, we can go back and air public comment and make it a part of, we could still, we could actually, could we continue to record it even after we adjourn?
Yeah. I mean, you can have, there's nothing that says you cannot have the public comment section televised.
So are you proposing that we would adjourn and then do public comment and maintain the recording the whole time?
That's, yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Keep it
It's
televised
never-
live?
Yes.
All right,
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
I'm fine with that.
And I'm comfortable with
You're comfortable with that?
I'm in.
Excuse me. You do not,
This is a work session.
it's a work
yeah.
session,
Yeah.
so that's why.
So just to answer your question, even though it's out of order.
Yes.
This is a work session. Normally, this is the kind of thing that might be discussed not in public. Making it a work session in public gives the public the benefit of hearing our thought process and why we are making some of the decisions that we're making, and working through those issues.
Please don't yell out from the thing. Excuse me, please. Not about this, no.
Yeah,
Thank
we're not. This isn't a vote on anything.
No.
This is not new business.
No, it's not new business. We're not voting. We're just, I would assume I would like that we continue to record then, if you guys are okay with that.
Consensus, I think, from the
It
commission.
sounds like a consensus, so.
So just so I'm clear, and based off of, I think some folks in the room, I want to understand what I'm agreeing to here.
Sure.
So what we've decided, or what the recommendation is that we keep the agenda as public comment coming after the adjournment of the meeting. However,
It's recorded.
the public comment will still be recorded and streamed on YouTube.
That's what people want, yeah.
So essentially, we are going back to the old format
Sort.
where everything will be televised. We are just adjourning from the meeting
Yep,
a step earlier than what it was prior.
pretty much.
Okay.
Mr. Patrizzi, I don't know if you have the answer to this, but do you know how long the previous agenda with the, let's say like the agenda that we were operating off of in November, how long had that been kind of in place as precedent for how the meeting was formatted?
So, as you know, my experience, I came to town in 1979. We always had the agenda items, you had the minutes, and then at the end, there was always public comment. Now, the rules as far as the time limits and things came in the early 2000s, because they would have people come up and talk for half an hour or 45
2006.
minutes. And so those came along at that point in time.
So will there be minutes kept?
If
Of the
3 or more of you stay,
Yeah.
there will need to be minutes kept.
Because if questions are asked during public comment, we need to be able to answer them and put them back in the next agenda so that they can be, well, we give them time so that they can get answers, and they'll be in the agenda. So if they go to whatever department, we'll pose those questions to the city manager and to get answers back.
Did any of the other commissioners feel that may create a perception burden upon us to stay for those extra minutes, even though it's maybe not really part of the meeting?
Well, I'm trying to figure what
Come on,
is
stay.
what is the point or the benefit then of moving the public comment portion outside of
None,
the
we can
actual
move it all
meeting
back
itself?
to the way it was, if that's what you want.
I mean, and I'm just asking the question.
No.
I mean, I think the issue that a lot of us heard about was having the public comment portion still televised and some type of record kept as to what was said. So it seems like this satisfies both of those two complaints. As far as an undue burden, I think if people are going to show up and stand up at the microphone and express their concerns, thoughts, or issues, I don't see that as a burden. I will be here to hear what they
Yeah,
have to say.
same here.
So that, I don't see that as a burden. I guess my question is of why moving it outside of the,
Well, the only benefit, honestly, is if staff need to leave or if any of us need to leave for whatever reason, so.
got it, fair enough.
But the benefit should go to the citizens, so I'm planning on staying.
And
so.
to clarify to my fellow commissioner, the burden isn't the staying, the burden would be the leaving and the perception of why did one of us leave, which, again, that essentially pulls the perceived or proposed benefit of moving it outside of the adjournment.
All right.
It essentially doesn't do much.
The second proposal then would be to revert it back to the way it was, including public comment within the commission meeting and adjourning afterwards, and all of it being televised.
So we would do consent agenda, old business, new business,
Yep.
city manager's report, commission comments, public comments, and then adjournment.
And then adjournment.
I like it.
I would say,
It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other for me.
yeah. I mean, well, certainly
As long as
for
it's recorded. I
for
don't mind.
tonight, I would support moving it to that. Maybe we can think about and revisit this another time if that's what we decide. But for right now, I'd be fine with what I had just said.
And I am as well.
Which is what?
Moving public comment back inside
Yes.
the meeting and
Okay.
adjourning last.
Adjourning afterwards, okay. I'm okay with that too, and record everything.
Commissioners, if that's the desire long-term, I would ask that you amend 10.18 to allow the clerk.
Can we do that at the next meeting, or no?
Yes, yes.
We'll do that at the next meeting.
Make it clear that they don't have to take detailed minutes of public comment.
Yep, and that's the one thing that needs to be said. We don't need detailed minutes taken. We need to have what was done, not what was said.
Now, does the proposal also that we would want to keep recording, streaming to YouTube and providing television studio equipment to public comments during that time? Or would we want to cut the recording?
No,
No?
I think we should record.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
That's the first item for, go ahead.
Sounds like we have consensus on
We have
that.
consensus, yes. That's
Do
the first
you-
item in the work session.
Would you want to hear a motion to amend the
We do that now?
agenda?
In a work
As-
session?
To do what? To
Amend the
10.1.
agenda as we had discussed.
What is your amendment?
I would move to amend the agenda by putting public comment prior to the adjournment.
That's fine. Make a motion to do it.
I need a motion to
Second.
amend.
He
the-
did that, and so you need a second.
Agenda.
No, I'm sorry.
He
Second.
moved, I
Second.
seconded.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
There we go. All right. Second item on the work session is the discussion of the Planning Commission Board of Zoning Appeals. We had talked and actually combined the tree committee with the parks, and I went to a parks meeting, and it went pretty well. We did not decide on what we were going to do with the Planning Committee and the Board of Zoning Appeals. As it sits now, the Planning Commission is in need of some, is it 1 or 2 members, Mr. Orberdorfer?
Yeah, it's one member.
1 member, at least. And we may have some more come up, so, and how many does the Board of Zoning Appeals need?
Yeah, it's 2 members.
Okay.
Is there a pool of applicants for both of those?
I believe you received all the applicants this evening.
Okay.
So I need to know how commission feels on that.
I remain opposed to merging the planning commission with the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I would want us to move forward with selecting from the pool of applicants to fill out both boards, rather than merging them.
Paul?
Yes, I like that.
And I support that.
Right?
Mr. City Manager,
He's got some questions.
I have some questions here. You said that there are 2 new applicants or 2 open spots for the BZA. How many current people are on the BZA?
I defer to Mr. Schmeezing. He's got the accurate numbers on the committee.
There are 3 active members.
There are 3. How many on the Planning Commission?
4.
4. All right, Mr. Patrizio, you're up. It's my understanding that in the charter, it lays out the only committee that is specifically referenced in the charter is the Planning Commission. Is that accurate?
That is correct. The planning commission is set in there. There are 5 members. They serve specific terms. And if something were to happen to all of you where you met your demise, they would replace you. So,
Fair enough. If the BZA and the Planning Commission are combined, then do the BZA members then just fall off? Because it states the Planning Commission can only
right,
5.
the planning commission members have to stay on. The BZA members would no longer exist. The 1 or 2 spots on the BZA would have to be, is there 1 spot on the BZA right now, or planning commission that has to be filled? 1 on the planning commission has to be filled, and the others would remain until their term expired.
So it's not really a merging of the 2, it's more of a dissolving of the BZA and the planning commission picking up extra responsibilities?
It would be, they would inherit the BZA's duties, that's correct.
So, again, just so I'm clear, we would be giving the current Planning Commission additional responsibilities and authority
That is
without
correct.
adding new people to this.
You would have 5, you would have to fill the 1 spot, that's correct.
I'm out.
Alrighty.
All right, so not that we're doing anything about it tonight, but if we, or maybe we are.
No, so I guess to clarify, so the reason why this came up as an item of discussion is there was a resolution before the previous commission, which I got to be a part of, and it had proposed merging the tree committee with the parks committee and then the planning commission with the BZA. It had been moved to amend that resolution to drop off the language merging the Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals. That didn't become its own separate resolution. It just went nowhere. So I guess what we are discussing right now is our amicability to receive another resolution proposing the merger, which it sounds like we are not. We're not interested
Not
in.
interested.
But yeah, there wouldn't be anything for us to vote on
Then
with
I
this.
would recommend that we've got a pool of applicants and that it was sent to each commissioner and that some of us have voted and the others need to vote so that we can get the 2 in the BZA and the 1 on the planning commission seated as soon as possible.
Can we extend the opportunity for folks to make an application now that we've moved ahead to kind of say we're going to keep both organizations? My understanding is we cut off the nominations at one point, and when we were having this discussion, I would say why not allow 2 more weeks of people to apply, and then we have a pool that we can look at.
I guess I'd ask Mr. Schmeezing, is there anything before either board in the next 2 weeks that requires more of a full house in either of them? Is there any sense of urgency in us selecting these appointments?
March 12th, I just heard Mills brother.
There's business for the Planning Commission in March, but it's nothing of a magnitude that it would make sense that you have a full board or,
Can they operate with quorum?
yeah, they can function with 4 members and have been. And Just to
been.
clarify, the vacancy occurred, I want to say in November,
Mm.
and we advertised December through January. So it wasn't.
So it's been advertised.
It was advertised for a reasonable period of time. The other part of that is you've got another member currently sitting on the planning commission whose term expires in March.
So there'll be two open,
Another vacancy.
possibly.
And then back to Mr. DeBras's question, one of the members of the BZA is an appointment from the planning commission. So the way that the BZA body exists, there's 4 members who you appoint, one is appointed from the planning commission. It's one of the planning commission members serving on the BZA.
I would, to Commissioner Vetter's request to open them up, I would say we probably want to open it up for that vacancy coming up in March.
But not.
But what, the current vacancy, the current pool of applicants should be sufficient? Would you be okay with that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
My sense is that if I'm a person sitting in the audience and I'm trying to follow the conversation, it's difficult to know, whether the pool has been open or closed, and so just to clarify, you set a date, you say, we're gonna have nominations available for 2 weeks, or?
How about we have nominations open back up for both until the Monday before our next meeting, March 4th?
Yeah, currently the website indicates that the application is available, so we can just go ahead and put the March 1st date on that, the Monday prior.
And then we
At
make it.
noon?
And then we decide and.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right, yeah, I'm fine with that then. We'll open it back up till noon on Monday, and then before the next meeting, and
For the next meeting.
we
and
will
then we can-
select and appoint them at that meeting to keep everything moving.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything more on this? I will close the work session and thank you, commissioners, and move to the consent agenda.
Approval of the minutes from the February 6, 2024 regular city commission meeting and resolution number R2724 through R3124, resolutions appointing a member to the Energy Board.
I move that we adopt the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, moving on to old business. Ordinance number O-1-24, the third reading.
An ordinance to amend Title 15 Land Usage Piqua Development Code.
Commission, as previously reported, this amendment would establish use standards for a hotel and make that particular use type a special use in the districts where it may be permitted. The use standards provide a means for evaluating any new hotel that may be proposed to ensure that it can be supported by the local economy and that it's not likely to have a deleterious effect on any of the existing establishments. The Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on this matter on January 9th and reviewed the proposed amendment, suggested a few tweaks that were made before presenting it to City Commission, and recommended approval of the item with the modifications made.
Any comments from commissioners? Any comments from citizens?
Jeff Grimes, 1314 Maplewood Drive. I think the last commission meeting, I had asked some questions about the TIF money being used, and not sure if anything was investigated about that.
This is about the land use Piqua Development Code. That's what we're talking about.
Right, and that's at the hotel that you guys are talking about, right?
Can you explain it any better, what we're asking for?
This is an amendment to the development code that will be applicable to any new hotel development, regardless of what site it may or may not be located on. It's not specific to a particular project. It would have relevance to any new project.
Okay, and so what was your question, Mr. Grimes?
Me investigating the TIF, from what I can understand, I'm not an attorney or anything, but money is not supposed to be used from a TIF if there was interest in developing this land. It was only for blighted land. Well, pretty sure that they said that there was other offers on this hotel and the city had to buy it or somebody else was going to pay more for it. So if TIF money is going to be used on this project, it shouldn't be allowed. So
Mr. Oberdorfer, can you?
Yeah, the two aren't connected. I mean, the development code is talking about changing a code, and it doesn't have to do with an individual TIF application or this particular site. So it's not really,
What
you
you're-
could bring
what
it
you're
back in
talking
public
about
comment.
Isn't relevant to what the proposal is right now.
So I was confused. You're talking about.
I'm saying that the ordinance that we're talking about now talks about the development code that's being proposed. And what you're talking about is that project. All right, so you could bring this up again in public comment and ask that question then, but that's got nothing to do with the development code.
Mr. Schmusing, I think I had tried to explain it to myself like this previously, but essentially the way the code works right now, you could open up a dozen hotel chains all right next to each other down Main Street, and there's not a lot that the development code could do about it, and it would oversaturate the market and cause economic problems with too many hotels in one area. And what this amendment does is it fixes that and gives us a little bit more control over saying just one hotel, not 12. Is that about sum it up?
That is correct, and it's using zoning as zoning was intended to be mindful.
So it's about the
of
zoning, not the
existences.
tip.
Yeah, so it's very generalized to the whole city.
So you could bring what you're talking about up in the public comment section.
Okay, so then you're going to take and redo the zoning out there on this particular
So
property.
we don't get 12 hotels out in one area.
It's
Yeah.
not on this particular property.
Yeah.
It's the code itself.
It's the code itself, yeah.
So I'm not understanding, there was a hotel at this particular property before, and then now we're going to rezone that to a hotel?
Go ahead.
This particular item pertains to a hotel use that someone may apply for a permit to be authorized to construct. And they can make that application for that use in any of the zoning districts where it is listed as a use. And so currently, it's listed as a principal use. To Commissioner Homan's analogy, you could conceivably have more applications and construction than what the market can absorb. What is presented would make it a special use in each of those districts where it may be considered, which would provide for a mechanism to be able to manage the pace or rate at which hotels are constructed in the community so that you don't end up with more than what the market can absorb and a condition that creates other problems. What Mr. Grimes, I believe, is inquiring about is separate from this item. It's related to the specific redevelopment site at Ash and US or Interstate 75. And there are different, that's not what this particular item is about, although that area would be subject to this change.
Sorry about that. I didn't understand what was going on.
That's all
Thank
right.
you.
That's all right. What you have, like question you have, please bring up again during public comment, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, yes.
Danielle Dryling, 1038 Nicklin Avenue. How would this affect any possible bed and breakfasts that could open up in the city of Piqua?
Bed and breakfast are not described by the definition of a hotel, so they're not affected.
I'm just double checking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great question.
That was a good question. I wouldn't have thought of that.
I didn't think of that, yeah. So, you can come up. Name and address, please.
Susan Spidel, 1103 Echo Lake Drive, Piqua. I'm confused. So we're going to create a zone for a property to prevent overuse or overabundance of hotels for a property that the city already owns? I mean, you've bought this property, right?
This isn't about that, this isn't a zoning of that particular
not
plot
about
of
zoning.
land. It's about,
I'm
it's about the rules of what can be placed into certain zones. What
The
is?
timing sounds, it's like, okay, now the city's bought a property, they're trying to get a hotel to be built there. But, so now the timing of this new zoning thing to prevent other hotels seems odd or off to me.
I mean, if you're suggesting that they're related, I would say that they probably are.
Everything's related.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Do you know how you know how you see like, you know, 4 gas stations all at the same corner?
Sure.
And because there's no zoning code like what we're proposing for hotels, so it would just kind of, you know, that's why you see a dozen gas
There
stations
was
all right
no
next to each
need
other.
for that code previously.
There wasn't.
Why?
Codes evolve.
There was a hotel there then, that hotel wasn't protected by a code.
Maybe more hotels would like to move into the area, but this will prevent that, so we don't have an overabundance of hotels.
Right, particularly since the city's involved in that property.
It won't be for long, but
All right,
right.
just checking.
Just checking.
Again, everything is about timing, guys.
No,
Yep.
You know,
totally
it
good
really
question.
is. Everything is about timing,
thank you.
so.
You can go in a second. But I think part of the reason why there's coincidence in timing is that there was a large study done on just the hotel market in the region in general recently, which coincided and was beneficial to potential hotels coming into the area and us taking a look at our zoning code for that. Is that accurate?
It is, and relevant to the specific site that's being referred to, we had conducted a hotel study to look at whether or not there is a need in the community. And the findings of that consultant said that there is an opportunity for a brand hotel in the community. However, the market conditions are not so robust that it can support more than one at any given, or initially. And that there needed to be some growth in the market space before there would be an opportunity for more than one to be successful. Through that study and additional conversations with hotel developers, it became evident that for a hotel to be willing to do a project in Piqua, they needed to know that the market wasn't going to be saturated in year 1 or 2 or 3 after they make the investment to do something here.
Okay, thank you.
So help me make sure I got this right now, okay? The ordinance is not about the project, but the project showed us along with the study, that we had a true need within our government for this ordinance, so that we don't have to come across this issue again later.
Thank you. Sir?
Make it quick.
Your
John,
name?
John Wessel, 1820 Eagles Lake Drive. Is the potential developer of this property, have they made their decision contingent on the passage of this ordinance?
Ask Chris.
No, the developer has a hotel developer under contract.
Thank you.
Good question. Any other questions?
Tanya Blair. I'm actually outside of the town, so.
You're all right. That's
Anyways,
fine.
I just have a question about it.
Yes, ma'am.
The project seems like it's going to benefit this hotel and give it a monopoly, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but it kind of sounds like a monopoly because you're zoning so that no other hotels can come in. You look at, I'm not comparing other cities, but Troy has two hotels right there that just went in, or one's still being built, and then there's another one. They're supporting them. How can we not support them? And I know when we've had people
Study
come to
doesn't-
visit in our cities before, they stay in Troy because it's better hotels.
Do you have anything to say to that? Other than what the study said?
Yeah, I mean, we're taking our cue from the analysis provided by the hotel consultant, who's a professional in the space. And what they're describing to us is that the market conditions by itself, without there being some mechanisms in place such as what we've proposed, make it difficult for a hotel developer to develop in our community because the market dynamics are not there yet. And so you can look at other communities, and I don't know what the outcome will be in Troy. Good for them that they've got the development they've got. But there are plenty of examples where communities are not properly regulating this type of use, and they ended up with an oversaturated market, which then made it difficult for any of them to compete. And in turn, then they don't reinvest in their property, and you end up right back where we're starting from.
Do we have other
don't want
people
that to
trying, sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you,
No,
Chris.
you're fine.
Do we have other people that would like to build a hotel in this town?
I can tell you in conversations with the developer, we have talked with representatives from IHG, Hilton, Marriott, and they each refer us to their developers, the hotel developers who they work with in this region.
Right, they have a process, I know.
And of all the hotel developers who would conceivably do something in our market space, only one was willing to engage, and the others all had concerns about the strength of our market.
Okay, so why do we need to create a zoning now just to benefit them, when in the future, maybe down the road, 2-3 years later, are we blocking hotels from coming in?
We're not. This
Okay,
doesn't
that's what
preclude-
I need to
Yeah,
understand.
this just gives the elected, the bodies who govern land use an opportunity to be able to monitor it and make sure
So
that
we're
we're
not
acting
limiting
prudently.
how many can come in the community.
So-
That's what I'm,
It does not.
For instance, with my previous example of 12 hotels on Main Street, we could conceivably, as a commission or the planning commission, could still vote to approve 12 hotels right next to each other on Main Street if we so desired, right? This doesn't prevent us from doing that.
Conceivably, yes.
that's what I'm kind of
Okay.
trying to understand.
Yeah.
It's not a-
Yeah.
it's
No,
not
I don't
a-
want to see us limit ourselves
No.
Yeah.
in the future. Not so much today, what's happening. I'd love to see something else come. Development means good for me, for my business.
Sure.
So, obviously, I'd love to see it. But, I don't want to see us limit ourselves and go, okay, we're just giving this one hotel a monopoly, because that
Ma'am,
isn't fair. That's
what-
where I was going.
What the ordinance specifically states is that.
Mr. Grimes, you have to stay seated, sir. You
In
have to
order-
stay in one seat, please. Thank you.
What the ordinance specifically states is that in order for another like hotel to be able to come, that the occupancy rate has to average 65% of the existing hotel. So we're not limiting any
Okay.
future
All
development.
right. Yeah, I
We're-
just wanted to understand, we're not seeing the study that you guys saw.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
I understand those being in real estate, so
We
I
can
definitely
release that.
understand what he's talking about.
I think the
So
goal would be to have 12 hotels down Main
would be
Street.
awesome, yeah.
All 60%
All
of
of
them
them
would.
Or on the south end of town,
I
or
just don't want to
the
see us
west
limiting
end of town.
ourselves is
Right.
where
No.
I was going.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
just wanted to
That's-
understand.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Any other questions? Yeah, you can go back to your seat, but you got to stay in one seat, please.
Seeing no further questions, I would move that we adopt ordinance O-1-24.
Second.
Yeah.
Paul can second that.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? On to new business. Resolution number R-32-24.
A resolution requesting authorization to enter into a contract with Utility Service Company, Inc. for a 10-year service contract that will include inspection and required maintenance of the R.M. Davis Parkway Water Tower.
Hello, Commissioners. We're here to talk about water towers tonight. City of Piqua has 3 water towers, one on the east, one in the central, and one in the western water zones. R.M. Davis is the one in the western water zone. This is a contract for the company mentioned to take care of this tank for the next 10 years, which would be kicked off this September with a new outside coating of the tank. And then visual inspections over the years, a couple years from now, interior blasting and coating, and then more visual inspections and washouts as needed. This is the same process we use with Ash Street. We're in our 11th year with the same company doing this. We just completed the 10-year cycle, and we're continuing with them. So this is the way we're going with these tanks. It's been successful on Ash Street. When our Fox Drive tank in a couple years gets a little more aged, we'll get it under a contract as well. So Do you have any questions?
We're just using the same company and not looking anywhere else?
Yep. This is the leading company across the nation. They have thousands and thousands of towers they take care of. And so the goal would be to get this company to take care of all 3 of our towers so they can come out, be cost effective for them, and that makes it cost effective for us to do their checks, one check a year or whatever work is being done.
It looks like the budgeted amount was greater than the actual anticipated cost of the project.
Yes, they gave us the final numbers here in the last month. We had put some money in last year as an estimate. One other thing I did forget to mention, we did put in for the 7th round of DoD grants for this. So if we were to be lucky enough to be chosen, about half of the initial coding would be covered through that. So we should hear that back, yay or nay, in a month or so. So there's if that does happen, we'll readjust 9 years afterwards, and we'll use that grant money up front and then readjust with them and redo the contract at that point if we get that.
Was this something that went before the utility board?
Yes, because we talked about September as the time to do it. Yeah, we did talk about this. It's been since about before Christmas, our last meeting. So yes, we did talk about this. I remember talking about September shutdown. Yes, so this should probably take place right after Labor Day. Takes them about a month to completely drain the tank, clean it, prep it, and then coat it.
I think the utility board had approved of that idea.
I just like having projects with maintenance budgets built into them, so I think this is a good thing. Any other comments from commissioners? Comments from the citizens?
Hi, my name is Kim Heisler from 1802 West Parkway Drive. What were the stipulations for that DoD grant?
The stipulations, there was about 7 or 8 different things you could use the grant for. Water tank maintenance was one of them. There was sewer extensions, water extensions. We put in another grant for water and sewer extensions to the south of our city.
Was there anything attached to that? Like, hey, we'll give you the grant, and in turn, you'll have to do this for us?
No, the only thing they requested is a local match. So on each of these projects that we put in for grants, we said that we would cover half of the cost if they covered the other half.
Okay, and then my other question is, why aren't you taking bids from other folks other than we've been using them, let's go ahead and continue, but why not open it up?
There are not a lot of companies that do this nationwide.
Okay, maybe not, but why not still open it up?
There's code in the ORC, the state of Ohio, that says for instances like this, it's in your packet. It's a one-pager in there that you're not required to go out for bidding on a situation like this.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to follow up on that, you had said that we've used this company before, so it's kind of like just an ongoing renewal of their services, essentially.
Yeah, so the 10 years was up on Ash Street. We're keeping them going forward. And then this is starting the 10-year process with Arm Davis. And like I said, in Fox Drive, probably in about 6 years, 7 years. Yeah, this tank has not been coated since, it's been 20 years almost. So 2005, when the tank went in, it has not had a coating, interior or exterior. So they had been checking on this tank every year, not under contract, just coming out and inspecting it. And they recommend to do the coating now. So another thing I didn't get into is with the details is there is a warranty attached with this. So once we're in this program with this company, they warranty their work going forward while you're in the contract with them. If the interior coating needed to be done in 2 years instead of their scheduled 4, they would do that because it's in their best interest to keep everything functioning properly at those tanks because they're warrantying it.
Okay. Yes, sir.
John Wessel, 1820 Eagles Lake, just real quick. So this is a 10-year contract at $229,000 annually?
No, the first 5 years are more expensive, and then after that, the last 5 years go down to $41,000 a year.
Okay, so the action tonight is a $1.1 million agreement?
1.356, yeah.
Okay, just want to
Yeah,
clarify.
it's
Thank
for
you.
the whole 10-year, yeah.
Any other citizens? I'll entertain a motion. Oh, go ahead.
So, I'm Susan Spidel, 1103 Oka Lake Drive. This is a regular maintenance, right, Kevin?
Yes.
Why, if it's regular maintenance, isn't that built into the budget? So this grant money that you're applying for, we've got a lot of other water issues, you know, and that's been a part of the conversation that never really seems to get off the ground of us being able to find the federal grant money to solve some of our water issues. Why, if we can get these grants, why isn't the city building this? And you know that you have to maintain your structures. Why would grants not be to extend sewers? So maybe there is more development or some other things like that.
Oh, we've applied for a lot of grants over the years. We've received the one, I don't know if you heard, for Ridge Street upgrades, which are gonna take place this summer. So we put in for 5 of the initial round grants. That's the one we got. Now this last round, we put in 2 more. This water tank one being, they like shovel-ready projects, and we were ready to go on this, so that's why we put this project. And then also on the potential development of the south end of town, a water and sewer. It would be for a design of the water and sewer extension, not for the actual construction. It would be to give us a jump start to see what it would take to get water and sewer down to our south, 75 exit for future development.
I mean, I'm really pleased to know that and I know you're trying to get grants, trying to get help into the city.
And this was budgeted. I mean, even before this grant
when I
came
heard
out, we've been budgeting, yeah. Now we know we got that first 10 years done, this 10, we know what we're gonna have going forward for the next 30 years now on tank maintenance. So we wanna get in this program and then we can project costs out and have it covered in our budgets yearly.
Okay, thank you.
And just to clarify, yeah, I'm pretty sure this had been budgeted on the numbers that I'd seen from your group previously. And the only reason why we have to vote on it is just because it's such a large amount of money.
Yeah, it's over the $75,000 and it is a contract with the company. so
But it's in line with your budget. And then from the question about the grant money, the grants need to be allocated to a specific thing, but once it's allocated, I mean, that money that we were gonna send towards there is fungible towards other projects, correct?
Well, what basically is the money set aside to coat this tank this year, we just won't use that. That'll go back into the water fund and then we'll use the grant money if we get it. To paint this.
So
yes.
maybe the grant wouldn't specifically help with some of those projects, but indirectly, you could shovel more money towards them.
Yeah, it would be towards the water fund. It would be, yes.
Alrighty.
All right. I'll entertain a motion.
I would move that we adopt resolution R-32-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next is resolution number R-33-24.
A resolution awarding a contract to Ore Protection Systems for gas turbine fire protection system upgrades for the power system.
Thank you. Good evening, City Commission. Ed Krieger, Power System Director. This item relates to the 2 vintage combustion turbines the city has owned for a number of years. The one unit is a 1965 that was brought to the city, used in the mid-'80s, and the unit we're talking about tonight is the GE Frame 5 just south of the power plant. Brand new in 1971. These 2 units were originally purchased for reliability purposes. Years ago, there was one main high voltage transmission feed into the city, and when that one feed would go out, even though the city was generating power at the old coal plant, it had negative reliability impacts that could be seen throughout the city. The city filed lawsuits at a federal level and was successful in bringing a number of additional high voltage feeds into the city. We now have 4 distinct lines from 3 different sources. So that situation has changed significantly. So the original use for these units has changed. They actually set pretty well idle in the probably mid-'90s into early 2000s. And then when the market started changing, these units became very valuable from a cost-saving standpoint for our customers. I've come to the city commission after working with our Piqua Energy Board on numerous projects over the years to bring these units back to life because they were really bad shape. Now they've become very reliable, but projects tend to come up on these units being, like I said, 50, 60 years old. They provide in excess of $1 million annually in cost savings to our customers, in a typical year, about a 7% cost savings. So if we didn't have these units to be able to peak shave and bid into these markets like we do, it would result in a approximately 7% rate increase for our electric customers. So this item relates to the fire protection system on that unit. It is the originally installed CO2 fire protection system, which was factory installed when the unit was put in place. It actually has been reliable up until this past year. We had 3 nuisance discharges, and every time we have a discharge, it's an expensive and timely manner to kind of get it ready to run again. For years, we did fire protection locally, and with a lot of things, personnel change and loss of technical expertise, and we became in a position with these units that we didn't have local expertise to be able to provide us that service. And so after these issues over the past year, I reached out to our American Municipal Power staff. They operate and own a number of similar units, and they have expertise in this area. They pointed us to Ore Protection Systems. Ore Protection has been in this business since 1971. They specialize in power generation, and they met with us and recommended that we basically upgrade this system. We found out that the system has been out of compliance with NFPA standards for a number of years. So, this is not only a asset protection issue, it's also a safety issue with our employees. Tim Angles, my substation generation manager, he's ultimately responsible for these units, maintaining, operating, and running them. Doug Cantrell and Alex Steinbrunner are 2 of our union substation generation techs that operate them. We just actually operated them as recently as a week ago. And so what this will do is basically allow us to go in to this unit and really replace everything except for all the way up to the CO2 bottles, new fire protection panels, new wiring, new pneumatic systems. It provides not only a visual, like flashing lights, it provides pneumatic horns, and it even has a smell sensing, because when these CO2 systems discharge, you need to be insured and guarantee that your employees aren't in the area when they discharge. And in addition, if you're doing maintenance, you need to be able to lock them out to ensure that they don't trip as well. So this item was extensively reviewed and covered at the Piqua Energy Board meeting on January 30th. And the Piqua Energy Board recommended that City Commission approve and move forward with these upgrades. The plan would be to have them in place for peak shaving season, which typically starts on June 1st. So that would be our plan if we get approval to move forward tonight.
How does this affect our insurance?
So, this item, obviously we need to be in compliance.
Yeah.
And it was concerning to me that our long-term fire protection company wasn't even able to kind of provide us guidance there. You don't know what you don't know. So certainly this is going to put us in a better light with our insurance provider.
Any other questions from commission? Any questions from citizens? I will entertain a motion then.
I will move to adopt resolution R-33-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to resolution number R-34-24.
A resolution authorizing a purchase order to Barrett Paving Materials, Inc. as the primary supplier and Valley Asphalt Corp. As the secondary supplier of 402 and 404 asphalt for the 2024 Street and Alley Maintenance Program.
Good evening, Commissioners. The Public Works Department will be looking to purchase asphalt for street and alley repairs and also for resurfacing 32 of our 301 alleys that we maintain throughout the city. We are requesting to spend up to $126,000 as we budgeted in the 2024 budget. Our contract and purchasing manager requested asphalt bids, sending the specifications out to local companies. The bids were received on November 14th of 2023. You can see the bid tabulation that's shown in Exhibit A. We are requesting to use the low bidder Barrett Paving as our primary supplier and Valley Asphalt as a secondary supplier if needed should the Barrett plant break down when we're in the middle of a project. The asphalt prices increased from last year by $6 per ton for both safe surface and base asphalt.
Any questions from commission?
I included maps in your packets as well, indicating where we'll be working at this year, and we'll post those on our webpage as well.
Okay, and these are in the agenda packet online?
Yes, sir.
So people in those regions should expect some of their potholes to get filled in over the next couple of months here?
Yes, sir.
All righty. Everyone likes to hear that.
Big time. Any questions from commission?
Oh, I can see my house on that map.
There you go. Lucky you.
Lucky you. Any questions from citizens? I'll accept a motion then.
I move that we adopt Resolution R-34-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next is resolution number R-35-24.
A resolution authorizing a purchase order to Ohio Cat for the purchase of a new Caterpillar skid loader for the Public Works Department.
Once again, the Public Works Department is now looking to purchase a new 2024 Cat 299 D3XE skid loader from Ohio Cat. This skid loader is competitively bid through the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Program. We budgeted $130,000 for this piece of equipment. The total price for this new skid loader will be $116,167,000. The new skid loader would possibly be delivered sometime in late May of 2024. We heavily use this piece of equipment for street and alley maintenance, snow removal, storm cleanup, and grounds maintenance along our right-of-ways. The funding for this will come out of the Street 101 fund. The new skid loader will be replaced in a 2014 skid loader that we currently are using. This piece of equipment is updated on a 10-year basis.
That's a nice looking piece of machinery there.
It is an outstanding piece of equipment.
How
We
soon
have
could- how soon would you
the
get it?
asphalt mill that we use for milling out, whether it's a street patch, alley patch, or we're resurfacing roadways. We use that on this piece of equipment.
How soon could you get it?
The earliest we would get it would be mid to late May.
Okay.
So if I heard you correctly, this will be a piece of equipment that helps fill in those potholes?
Yes, sir.
All right.
The only cringe factor that I have on here, it says standard warranty is 24 months or 2,000 hours. Is that whichever comes first?
No, well, it's for 2 years. Well, yes, it is, but we will not exceed the 2,000 hours based on our normal use. We typically extend that out with a service agreement that we have with Ohio Cat. After that warranty is up, they service our equipment for us. So in that, we'll have we typically get an extended agreement after that term has extinguished, which would take that out to up to 5 years and 5,000 hours.
That sounds good.
Better than a used car. Any comments from commissioners? Nope.
No.
Any other comments from citizens? I'll entertain a motion.
I will move that we adopt Resolution R-35-24.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Moving on to resolution number R-36-24.
A resolution authorizing a purchase order to Rush Truck Centers for the purchase of a 2025 International MV607 SBA plow truck for the Public Works Department.
Yes, the Public Works Department will be looking to purchase a new 2025 MV607 International plow truck from Rush Truck Centers. This plow truck is competitively bid through the ODOT Cooperative Purchasing Program. This truck will have an 84-month, 100,000-mile warranty. Also have an extended 84-month, 150,000-mile engine warranty and a 60-month extended Allison transmission warranty. The plow truck is replacing a 2006 plow truck that has exceeded its life cycle.
Yeah.
Purchasing this truck will keep our salt truck fleet at 8 trucks. We budgeted $220,000 for this truck. The total cost for the new plow truck will be $206,458.35. The funds for this truck will come out of the Street 101 budget. The new plow truck should be delivered late December or at latest early in 2025, based on the build delivery date.
Just in time for snow, huh?
Just in time for snow.
Any questions from commissioners? Any questions from citizens? I'll entertain a motion.
I will move that we adopt Resolution R-36-24.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the final new business would be resolution number R-37-24.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a management agreement with Hampton Golf for Fort Piqua Plaza Banquet Center.
Hello, Commission. This resolution is presented to this evening with regards to the Fort Piqua Plaza Banquet Center, the 4th floor of the building, and our attempts to try to support that property performing at a higher level. If authorized, we would engage with Hampton Golf to provide professional management services at the Fort Piqua Plaza Banquet Center. And engaging a third-party administrator, we will be able to provide industry, hospitality industry expertise to be integral to the management and operations of the facility. In doing so, we will be securing the professional management services that we feel are necessary to improve the overall operations and fiscal performance of the facility. As I've reported earlier, the trends at the banquet center have been on a downward decline since post-2020 and have struggled to regain the footing or the number of events and revenue levels that existed prior to 2020. By engaging with Hampton, the thought is that their ability to manage the facility at a higher level of performance would increase the revenues to a point where it would offset the management fees that are included in the contract. The contract agreement is in your packet. It is a 3-year agreement, although it can be terminated by either party upon proper notice. And what is requested in the resolution is for the authorization to engage in the contract with the first year being 2024 so that we can proceed with this arrangement and see if the analysis that we've completed with Hampton is accurate and that they feel confident that they can increase the performance of the facility and the revenues generated. The agreement would shift the responsibilities of managing the facility entirely to Hampton. As you know, we've utilized Hampton services at the golf course and had great success. And we have become familiar with their practices and determined that they are quite capable and pretty good at what they do. In addition to just managing the facility, they would also be marketing the facility. They would be responsible for the human resources aspect of operating the facility and staffing the facility, and a variety of other things related to the general maintenance and upkeep of the building. So the packet that or the agreement that is in your packet, again, would allow us to move forward with this. The total contract is a $2,500 base fee per month. So for the period of 2024, it would be less than $30,000. There is an incentive fee that's also included in the agreement, which would provide them 20% for any positive income increases that they're able to achieve. Still, we would be well beneath the $75,000 threshold in terms of an item like this ordinarily coming before the commission. However, it's a change in the operations. That building's important to the community. We understand that. We wanted to make sure that the conversation was visible to the public and transparent, and that the commission had the opportunity to weigh in with your support or disapproval if you were so inclined before we went forward with any modifications of the way we operate the facility. If authorized, Hampton is prepared to commence with managing the facility on April 1st, and that's what we've requested in the packet and what we hope you will agree with.
Any questions from commission?
Could you repeat again what the terms of termination were? If there was early termination, I think you said something about either party could early terminate.
Yeah, either party is able to submit notice of, to terminate the contract at any time they desire. And I'm looking here, I believe it's a 30-day notification, which is pretty typical. I don't have the exact section right in front of me here, but I'll look.
And that's without penalty? Chris, is that without penalty?
So it says the termination component is 30 days from notice. And there is a period to provide for the opportunity to cure if there's a default or any other concern that presented the explanation or resulted in the reason for wanting to terminate.
Did he answer your question?
Yep.
Were there any other management firms spoken with or talked to about their services for this?
We had a couple conversations. Quite honestly, Hampton was a group that we're familiar with. It's a professional services contract, and it's a conversation that we had with them that led us to believe that this was the best fit for the facility. So it was not advertised, but as a professional services contract, it's not required to be advertised.
Thank you.
Any comments from citizens? Someone's coming up. No, behind you. Okay. That's all right. Ladies first. That's all right.
I guess the first question I have is, what was the increase on revenue at the golf course?
Generally speaking, it was
successful.
45%. We're waiting for those numbers, and we could report back in March when we close out fiscal year 2023.
Okay.
But it's roughly 40 to 45%.
Well, that's, I mean, I've seen that they did a good job. Just sounds like 30K is a lot. What are they currently, what's the current revenue stream at the banquet facility?
I can speak to that. So over the last 3 years, it's been declining. It excuse me, it ranges in about $75,000 of support out of the general fund.
Okay.
So it's not.
You're a negative.
Yes,
75K.
we're subsidizing the operation, and that's for the entire building. It operates under its own enterprise fund.
Okay. And then what's the commitment from this firm? What are they telling you, Paul, that they're gonna do for you?
Well, they've already demonstrated with the golf course that they have marketing expertise, and so that's something the city does poorly. Obviously, we have 2 billboards, that's our marketing. We have no market penetration in going to bridal shows or, making connections with outside conferences. So it's going to increase our service operability.
I mean, it's a nice facility.
Right, it's underutilized.
Okay. It just seems like a lot of money, and I think you went through it pretty quick with numbers help.
Greg Neves, 1012 West Green Street. I'm under the impression that the golf course isn't making any money.
Well, when you do the accounting and take out the capital, so you have depreciation, the golf course is operating or should show a net positive revenue stream for last year, and that's taking out the depreciation of the capital investment. So it's going from a subsidy when I got here in 2021 of $300,000 out of the general fund to slowly whittling that down. And Hampton's only run it for 1 season. So we expect a year-over-year increase in those revenue streams as well as them keeping the expenditures down.
Well, it seemed like if they haven't made any money yet, they're not going to make any money with this either.
It's not that they haven't made any money. We made 40-ish% more revenue than we did the year before.
They're the ones making the money. We aren't.
No, the revenue comes into the city, and based on the agreement, they get a cut of it, but it's not the 40%. And
Well,
so
yeah, but they're getting a cut of it. We are not getting a.
Exactly, because they manage it better than we do.
Yeah.
So they get a cut, we get a cut, but we get a bigger piece of the pie.
All right.
Thank you.
Dave Smith, 701 Fisk. So clearly what we have here is a piss poor management is what's got going on. I've sat back here and been biting my tongue, listening to what I know the problem with this place. None of you have no idea. I've told you repeatedly, you guys are getting bad advice. The entire time you're talking about you're in your work session, all I heard was First Amendment violations. It's public comment. Therefore, the public sees it. You don't get to shut it off.
Are you talking about this
whole
this
thing that I've
resolution?
listened to for
Are you
the
talking
last-
about this resolution now?
I'm talking about everything you guys have done
No,
tonight.
if you want to talk about this one, you
Sir.
can, but you've got to stick to this
trying
one,
be
and
really-
then you
I'm
can
trying
go.
I'm trying to be really nice.
I'm trying to be
This
nice
is-
too, sir.
Okay,
Let's
first,
let's talk to this resolution, and then you can talk about First Amendment during your public comment.
well, you can back the time up first off.
Nope.
Really? So
Yeah.
you interrupted my time.
No, we're talking. Keep going.
You're the city attorney, right?
Correct.
Okay, you understand the First Amendment, correct?
Sir, there are allowed limitations in commission meetings.
Oh, I understand that. Trust me, I know.
And what he's asking you in this case is that our public comment for this section is related to this ordinance or this resolution.
Well, that's what I'm getting to. I've been.
And that's what he wants you to get to.
I'm trying to, but the interrupting is the problem.
Keep going.
That's the problem. So all I've heard is, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. A 2014 skid loader is no good still? Does it work?
Again, it goes back to the service life, and at some point, the maintenance exceeds replacement, so.
But.
And that has nothing to do with this ordinance.
No, but I mean, it's all these decisions are costing us money. That's the problem. Every single one of these things you guys have been talking about it's costing us money. The stuff you talked about in your work session. Someone gets a burr up their butt, decides to sue you, you cost us money because of poor management and bad information they're being given. You guys are spending money, there's no reason. Who owns that place downtown that you're talking about right now? The city owns it, right? That you're trying to hire someone to come in and manage because clearly you can't, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Like I said in the beginning, this is about piss poor management. The entire process, everything. And you guys can't make that connection.
Well, I think that's why
That's
we're
stunning to me.
allowing somebody else to manage it.
Yeah.
Why are we paying someone to cover up for your
Because
inadequacies?
managing weddings and baby showers isn't a core competency of the government.
Then you shouldn't be in that.
That's why it's being
why we're-
transferred
We
over to
shouldn't be
somebody.
paying for it. This is the last time we said, you guys jumping into real estate and businesses and things like that. The markets determine who's going to run what. If I have 12 hotels and 2 hotels do way better than the other 8, I'm not going to have 12 hotels. I might have 4 or 5. It will take care of itself. It doesn't require any input from any of you. We're the ones that decide to market, not you. And I understand them say, well, all these things you guys are doing are coming out here, coming out there. You see what I'm saying? I mean, if you guys can't manage, if the city owns it, clearly you guys can let anyone have access to city property because you're doing it. So instead of doing that, why not just give it back to the people? And we could rent it out and make tons more money and not have to pay someone however much you're going to pay this guy.
Who would you, I
do
guess,
that.
who do you think would receive the property as the people if the city already owns it?
Here,
Do you guys,
the people that pay you would own it.
they own it, they own it now.
You already own it, yes. People already own
But
it.
we, have you guys asked us what we want done with it?
We're asking you right now.
No, you're asking us, can we spend money to have someone do stuff with it for us so we can make money because we can't? That's what you're doing. You haven't said not one thing. You guys do not listen to yourselves when you talk. You really should pay attention to what's being said. You guys cross over talk each other all the time, and it's insane to listen to this. He should have told you, you can't be blocking nobody's comments. He should know that. There's court cases all over YouTube, cities losing $300,000 because they do what you guys are doing with public comment.
Well, your
So
time-
I don't want to
your
pay
time's up.
$300,000.
Your time's up. Thank you, sir.
Adam Cease, 1853 West Parkway. I guess my only question about this is this company that's coming in, what's the name of it?
Hampton.
Are they local?
No, their office is out of Florida.
So we have, a restaurant in the, 2 restaurants in the building there. And we also, from my understanding, one of them runs a very, very, very successful wedding company. So have we spoke to them about potentially sticking local? I mean, there was a lady, I know you weren't around then, there was a lady that ran that place very successfully prior to that. So my only concern is we bring in Hampton, who's providing food? Who gets to decide who does that? Them, I'm assuming?
No, the city still manages.
I just want to make sure we're not cutting out our local,
No,
places,
we're not.
especially when we've got one that's in there that successfully does weddings. I mean, I've seen some of them, they're beautiful. So I think that would be my only concern, is making sure that we don't take, small businesses in this town should be supported before any business outside of this town. That should just be a rule of thumb, period.
And I agree with you, and as part of that too, we've had conversations about how do we increase the business ecosystem. And because we don't manage that facility well enough, because we don't have the staff to do it, Hampton would be that would be part of their charge, would be to bring together, packages where you go and get your tux downstairs and you have your rehearsal dinner at a local restaurant and things like that.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're supporting local. I mean, I've seen what Hampton did out at the golf course, and I can't speak to any of the financials on it, but the golf course itself seems to be running really well. The people seem to be pretty intelligent out there. I just want to make sure that we're supporting our local businesses and our restaurants that are already downtown. So that was my only concern.
Thank you.
Good evening, John Wessel, 1820 Eagles Lake. I have a question specifically about Section 3B, Human Resources. It states that all employees at the banquet center shall be employees at Hampton Golf. Who employs those individuals today? What does it say on their pay stub?
So currently, they're contract employees through a temporary agency.
Okay. Then states Hampton Golf shall offer employment to all employees who are presently employed. Is there a requirement that they're offered their job at the same rate of pay that they are currently employed at?
Currently, there are no employees, and that's part of the reason that we're expediting the contract is because the employee that was working there no longer works there.
So there are no current employees, so,
No, the banquet coordinator is vacant at the current time.
so this doesn't apply to anybody then, right?
No.
Okay, answers
Good
my question. Yeah.
Good
thank you.
question, thank you.
Tom Lillicrap, 122 High Street. I'm a tenant of that building. Very appreciative of what the city's done there. But I'm sitting back here listening, and I pay rent for my spot. You're going to pay this company to take that large space over to management. I feel I'm managing my spot pretty well, but I'm paying a large amount of rent. I'm not sure, and correct me, Chris, and I'm just asking. I'm not stirring up. You guys are my tenant, and I just have a question. Because I pay a lot of money for rent, and some months it's a little high. I'm selling $4 hot dogs. We aren't selling $25 meals. But I took the gamble because the city is developing a lot, and I saw that. That's a 5-year projected project that I'm banking my bid on or my gamble on. But did you say if their business is increasing that you're going to give them 20% more? I mean, I just asking, I don't know if I heard that correctly, but, and the reason I bring this up, and it is before the commission, I have an issue at my location with the health department currently. My stove does not reach requirement, and I asked if there was any kind of funding to help me put a new stove in that location. And there wasn't anything that was, I mean, I have met with, Chris has made a great effort to help me with the health department. The health department can be a stickler. But there's a refrigerator in there that the city owns. There was the grease trap, all that stuff was set in place. But I have to make another $6,000 investment because of a miscommunication with the health department, and we're going to pay this company to take over 5 times the amount of space than what I'm occupying, and I'm paying every month. So why doesn't Hampton have to pay a rent to the city, and then they just take what they make like I do? I mean, I'm trying to figure out why is the city paying Hampton to occupy theirs? Why aren't you paying me $2,500 a month to occupy your space, and I'm breaking a lot of business into the city? It's just a question. But I'm sitting back there trying to figure this out, and I have an issue that I'm trying to resolve, and I'm going to have to do something within a year or two. I mean, if I stay in that location, I don't know if I can because I'm growing at a rapid pace. I mean, it is. It's good. But it's $6 hot dogs, and I can't buy a $6,000 oven. So I'm sitting back here trying to think, you're going to pay this company to come in. They aren't local. I'm local.
You are.
And I'm paying you $1,200 a month to occupy a space. You're going to give them a really large space, but you're going to pay them, but then you're going to give them an increase if they're doing well. Maybe I misunderstood, but that to me seems, I'm sitting back there trying to do the numbers, and I'm like, I'm struggling because I got to put an oven in, and I can't do that. So I'm not throwing anybody under the bus.
No,
I
you're
love
not.
the city, or I would have never invested into that spot.
And I'm glad
But
you
I'm
did.
trying to figure out why we're paying a company to come in and occupy a space when they should be proud to take the space like I was, and they should be paying the city the rent.
Yeah, do you want to speak to the 20% before I go ahead?
Yeah, I mean, the 20% is akin to what was described at the golf course. If they increase the revenues over what the average has been, so they've got a positive increase, then we share that. So they get a 20% piece of that, we get the rest. And the incentive is to boost the performance of the facility. We're not paying them to occupy the facility, we're hiring them to manage the facility, because right now, we're doing it with temp agencies and city staff trying to backstop it. The city inherited the building when there was an effort in the community in 2008, and there were a lot of different interests involved. And there was a public-private venture, and the private piece existed for 7 years for the tax credit benefits. And then once that 7-year period expired, they went away and said, here, it's yours, handle it. And we're not facility event space managers. You know, we've tried to operate it and done some different things, and it's always a little bit of it's out of our wheelhouse, right? So hence the reason we're suggesting that this could be a better option, to have somebody who's an expert at managing hospitality facilities. It's a community amenity, and at the end of the day, we want to make sure that it's there and available and performs at a really high level so that people are satisfied with the experience that they have when they do rent the facility. And if they can boost the revenues, that simply helps us offset some of the expenses that we incur. The city's still incurring expenses.
I
mean,
understand.
we're the tenant in that space.
I
We're
understand.
incurring the utility expenses and the operating costs and everything, the same as you paying the rent in your space. And so, we're trying to find ways to maximize the income and minimize the expense, or close the gap at the very least, so that the general fund from the city isn't subsidizing the building, which is not good for anybody.
No,
And
it's
so
not.
that's what
I'm
we're
in
trying
full
to
agreement.
resolve.
I'm in agreement that the city should have somebody managing that facility, but I guess my question is, you paying this company, I understand they're professionals in the field and they're gonna do well there. I'm in total agreement of that, and it's gonna benefit my store also, to have that facility properly ran. But what benefit does the city get from, I know you said, so every party they have, you get a percentage, or, I don't understand where the city makes money back from that. I understand the revenue and the people coming here, but where's the?
We're paying them a flat rate of $2,500 a month.
Okay.
For their services to manage the facility. If they manage it in such a way that it performs at a much higher level and they produce a net gain on the revenues, we're saying, hey, we're recognizing that, and you're getting 20% of it. So there's incentive for them to perform or operate at a really high level. All the revenues still go back to the city, and the city has to pay all the bills.
Well,
And then
paying
whatever's
part-
left,
yeah.
Which generally is nothing, we end up in the negative because of the expenses exceeding the revenues. Then we have to find other revenues to pay for that, which means we end up taking money from the general fund each year to subsidize an enterprise operation over at the plaza, which is not good.
But my question to that, though, would be, why are we paying $2,500 out? I'm still not catching the drift of it.
If I may, you bring up a really good question. I'm sitting here trying to think through it now that you've asked it. The best I can kind of come up with, I'm still kind of thinking through this, so don't take this as like
you're good.
verbatim. So you have managers for like shifts and stuff that you pay, probably.
Be me.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the beauty of being a small business owner. So I guess you can maybe imagine if you had more employees that maybe you were having them run the store. Whether you're selling hot dogs or ice cream or not, you got to pay them X dollars of amount per hour. But what you might do is you might incentivize them and say, hey, look, I got to pay you this regardless. If you don't sell any hot dogs, I'm still going to pay you because I have to. But if you sell 100 hot dogs today, I'm going to give you an extra $50 as a bonus because you went out there and killed it. So kind of what I think is happening here is that we are proposing to pay these Hampton to manage it. We're going to give them a flat rate regardless. If they bring in no weddings, we're going to pay them $2,500. If they bring in 100 weddings, we're going to pay them $2,500 per month. If they do bring in a lot of business and we get this huge influx of business, then we're going to say, hey, we're going to give you a little bonus because you did such a good job working for us. Does that maybe make a little bit more sense why we're paying them rather than collecting rent from them?
It does, but it's kind of a weird concept, though.
I'm empathizing with you quite a bit right now.
I'm not going
I
to
get it.
I totally agree that the city should turn that over to somebody. But turning it over and paying somebody to run it, I know you had employees there and that, but you cleared it up a little better, but there's still a weird dynamic.
Well, use the
to
golf
that,
course
so.
as an example then, okay? Because we turned management over to them, and the amount of money that we pay from the general fund in 1 year is reduced, so.
Yeah, and I agree to that. It cleared it up. I was sitting back there trying to do numbers in my head. That didn't add up.
I understand.
So my next question, though, is if something happens to the restaurant on the corner, the Scottish Thistle, I don't know what their contract is, but would that restaurant still have the ability to occupy that space for events? With that being under new management, are they still a caterer that can
Yeah, any caterer that's on the
Okay.
on the list would be able to.
Okay, I didn't know if that,
No, we don't want, I don't want anything to happen to Scottish Thistle.
I was just, I mean, I'm just curious, because I didn't know, because that was the city, and now you're turning over
Yeah,
to, I didn't know.
They're not going to be providing food service exclusively.
They're
at all.
just managing
They're
that-
managing the
that space.
operation, right.
Okay, thanks.
Great question.
Jeff Grimes, 1314 Maplewood Drive. So has anybody up here ever run a business that actually had to make money to stay in business? Are you asking me?
I have.
I'm just asking everybody up here that's running our town. Okay, so $2,500 a month to come in and manage something that you guys can't manage. So why wouldn't you rent that to them for $2,500 a month and then see if they could make it like a real business has to? We're going to pay this company $30,000 of taxpayer money to compete with local businesses that do the same thing. So how is that fair to anybody that has a small business in this town? Give me 30 grand and help my business.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
So if we were to, let's say we flipped it and like with the previous gentleman where we're collecting rent from him, that's the cap. That's all we get from him per month ever. No matter if he sells 100 hot dogs or 1,000,000 hot dogs, we only ever get that rent from him. So we've got a capped upside to that. The proposal that we have right now is there's an uncapped upside because we're paying them to manage it, but if they bring in 100 weddings, well, we get all of that money, and then we give them a little bit of back as an incentive to try to bring more weddings in. So this plan would have an uncapped potential for income, whereas renting it out to them and collecting rent from them would have a guaranteed cap on how much money we could ever possibly make from that.
But you're competing with companies that have to make money.
What do you mean?
I don't get anything for free. My business has to make money. You're going to give $30,000 to a company that, if they don't make any money, are they still going to get to 30 grand?
Well, that's where I had asked the question about what's our termination. If it turns out that they bring in 0 weddings, we'll do an evaluation. That happens with businesses. Is you evaluate your employees every so often. If they're not doing well,
why wouldn't you give 30 grand to somebody in this town that already has experience with weddings and already has this set up in town? I'm sure there's quite a few of those. The city is competing with businesses in town that have to make money to stay in business. You guys don't understand that. You're going to bring in companies and you're going to give them tax abatements. Why don't you give tax abatements to the people that are already live here and work here their whole entire life? We're forgotten. Oh, we're going to bring a new business in. We're going to give them tax breaks. What about the guys that are already here? You guys, man, you couldn't run a pool. Hance Pavilion's falling down. The golf course is losing money. So if you're losing money, there is no cut. If I lost money last month in my business, I can't give that cut to my investor because there is none. You guys don't understand. You've never run a business that has to make money.
No, I told you I have.
And I have too.
And so have I.
And so have I.
So
Okay,
this-
so maybe you do understand. And so you're telling me, let's say that you run a tire shop in town, just for an example, and all of a sudden, the city decides that they're going to go in the tire business, and they're going to give a company 30 grand to come in and run their tire business. Would you think that was fair to your tire business?
I absolutely would not. Has there
So,
been
you guys are out of touch with reality.
Okay.
So I know my time's up, but
No, it's not. You got a minute.
you know, you guys gotta look at the people that are already in this town, and there is no success story.
There is no success story in this town of anything that the city has ever done. If you can give me a success story, I'd like to hear it. The taxpayers paid for the library. The taxpayers paid for the pool, which closed down. Hance Pavilion's fallen down. The golf course is losing money. Now you're going to give a company 30 grand to come in to try to increase revenue. And they don't have to make money. You're giving them 30 grand. Guys, out of touch with reality.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'd like to respond to that.
Go ahead.
So the reality of it is, let's look at our neighbor to the south. I'm not going to name, but they're orange and purple. They, out of the general fund, they subsidize the Hobart Center with $500,000 a year. Likewise, the golf course gets $300,000 a year. Also, too, their pool gets $200,000 a year. So they're subsidizing those three elements in the city, those three opportunities for their residents at $1 million. And they are a city, they're not made to run operations like that is there for the benefit of the residents, right? Quite often when you see that, what happens next is that in a local government, the city finally realizes that they need somebody to run it for them if they want to keep those amenities for the residents. So you'll see these kinds of contracts that are public-private partnership, if you will, quite often. And in my past, I've seen it happen at least 3 times, and they were all 3 golf courses. So it's not unheard of. You can't compare running a business to what we have to encounter with the Fort Piqua Plaza. It's an enterprise fund. We try to run it like a business, which is increase revenues, decrease expenditures. The only way we can do that is to increase revenues, is to have somebody properly market, get market penetration, get bookings, things like that. That's not what the city's set up to do. We were never in that business. The business was handed to us with the building. Thank you.
All right, sir.
No, I already used part of my 5 minutes.
No,
but,
you haven't. You get 5 minutes per topic.
There we go. I think some of the heartburn here, and I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, is that the compensation structure is just based off of gross revenue. So they can increase revenue while the city still bears all of the cost. And they just get 20% of the revenue. Right? Not of the profit, only the revenue. So any further capital that needs to be done, any expenses borne are still all by the city, not by this
That's the
management
burden
company.
of being a landlord. You got to pay for all that sort of stuff.
Right, but they're not paying rent like I would to my landlord, right? So we're paying them right from the get-go, and there's zero risk to them at all. They could do nothing, and you're right, we can terminate the agreement in 30 days' notice, but so my only question is, who drafted this contract?
Good question.
That draft came from Hampton originally, was modified and gone through a series of drafts going back and forth between the city. Actually started off with a golf course and then it came to this. It was modified to fit this situation.
So is 20% of gross revenue their initial ask, or did we negotiate down to that point?
I was not
or-
involved in that part.
Chris, do you know?
That's the initial number that I recall seeing. I wasn't party to all the conversations, but I don't know that I saw a different number than that.
Paul?
Again, so we use the format of the current contract with the golf course as a starting point, and in 3 years, we can revisit it and see what their performance is like. And back to your earlier point, my example about the city to the south, their $1 million of subsidies, that's the difference between a city operating things that we shouldn't operate, but we're obligated to operate.
And I totally agree, the city should not be operating a banquet center. Don't get me wrong. But I just think that we should get the best deal that we can, given all of the money that we poured into it, that the taxpayers poured into it.
Can I respond to your point about risk? I think it was a really good point, and I'll try to go back to the idea of an employee. So what we were doing was essentially we had a bunch of individual employment contracts with individual employees. This has then bundled that and given it to essentially a service provider, and they're going to be paying their employees. So your point about risk, though, is well taken. So I haven't run a business myself, but I work for a business, and I don't have to bear any of the risk as an employee. I didn't have to bear the risk of the initial investment from the founders or any of their investments into capital expenditures. That's the beauty of being an employee, is I don't have to worry about that risk, and I only get the upside, and I get incentive pay if I do good at my job, just like what we're offering to Hampton. So that, maybe that's a good answer, maybe that's not a good answer from your perspective, but it's an explanation of where the risk is that in the analogy, Hampton is an employee, and typically employees do not bear the burden of investment risk the way that founders and shareholders do.
Do we know if Hampton has an agreement like this with any other municipalities where their contracts would be public?
I'm not certain as to how public their contracts are, but in the industry, golf and hospitality industry, they do have a wide variety of contracts that span both public and private. Most closely related to us would be Pipestone down in Miamisburg. That's a public golf course, and they manage it.
What I'm getting at is just if we could maybe take a look at those, and are we really getting the best deal, especially if we're using the baseline as the previous fiscal year, is my understanding, which was probably the lowest of the last 5, right? So like we're setting the bar pretty low, right, as a starting point for the incentive structure. So I'm not going to belabor the point, but that'd be my ask.
Thank you.
All right.
One more comment.
One more.
Roland Sauermill, 426 South Street. The golf course ain't made money for years. They just said out here a while back, been over 10 years since they made money. We just keep helping the golf course. I've been in business.
I'm having trouble hearing you. Could you talk a little closer?
Move the mic closer to you.
We had a meeting here a while back. The golf course ain't made money for years and years and years. They're still giving them money, our taxpayers' money. I got my own business for 20 years. I ain't never had the city give me but trouble.
But trouble, huh?
Trouble, Frank.
We'll talk.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Yes, he does. And I've been going through this shit for 8 years, the city fighting. And I gotta say something. It took me 5 years to get it straight. Him come down and said everything's okay. So he left me alone. They left me alone. Now he's on something else. When he gets down with that, he'll go to another one of my properties. He just go, I'm this guy tired of you giving money to the golf course. You just gave him $450,000 before you guys come in.
This is not about giving money to the golf course. This is about
I heard about the golf course. I heard golf course's name
It's
coming
about
up.
the contract for the plaza, though. So
Yeah, but you know,
That's what
it's
we're
about, I hear golf course, they have their
they manage
benefits
the
and stuff
people
like
that are gonna. The people that propose to manage the plaza manage the golf course.
I know somebody lives at the golf course. Maybe if they close it down, his value of his house might go down. But no, I just get tired of giving money away to businesses, new businesses in town. When I've been in town 20 years, they ain't gave me a dime. I'd take it if it did. I might retire then.
Do you know how to plan weddings?
Huh?
Do you know how to plan weddings?
Do I know how to plan weddings? Somebody back here will. I can't sell cars. I don't plan weddings. So I just get tired of giving our money away to other people outside town, help people in town. We pay taxpayers' money. It's our money you're spending. It's our money you're spending, giving it, keep people out of town. I don't see it. I've been here 50 years, don't see it. Just don't see it. And we just keep doing it. When are we gonna stop?
I hear you. I definitely hear you on spending
I mean,
taxpayer money.
Sooner or later, it's time to stop giving people money to come to this town and start a business. I mean,
We have the small business grant, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
I'm fine, because I don't want to owe the city of Piqua nothing.
You don't.
No, I don't.
I know.
But I'm just thinking people need help. You should help the people in Piqua, not somebody outside of Piqua.
Hear you.
They come in this town, start a business. Every time I see somebody start a business in Piqua, I think in my head, wonder what this is costing us taxpayers' money. That's just something comes in my mind. I don't know. It's just where I feel. And I've been here a lot longer than a lot of you people have. And I've been I've been friends with Chris Lee for 50 years.
50 years at least.
And we talk all the time.
All the time. We're gonna talk tonight.
And I just don't understand, the writing's on the wall for this town.
I hear you on the use of taxpayer funds. I think the goal for this, whether or not it'll be successful, that remains to be seen. But I think the goal for this is to be a better use of taxpayer funds. The city owns the building regardless. We got to do something with it. And so the hope is that this will make that asset make more money in the future. That's the goal.
I mean, I don't know who that guy was that rents off the city, but if he checks on rental thing, if you furnish him a refrigerator and stuff when he moved in, you gotta keep furnishing that.
Check into that.
You gotta keep furnishing.
I'd like to help
I
him.
got rentals, I know.
His business is doing great, and I'd like to continue to help him, so we'll see what we can do, okay? Thanks, Roland.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask?
Yes, you
may I-
got one more question. You
I have
said, I
one
got
more
you.
question.
I
Yes,
saw
I
that.
do.
Yes, sir.
This was actually brought to my attention by one of our citizens. It says at the very head of this management agreement, says that this management agreement is entered into and made effective as of September 8th, 2023. So this $2,500 a month, are we gonna owe these guys all the way back to September 8th of 2023?
Why does it say that? Or is that the wrong date?
First page.
It would be effective from the date after it was passed, and it should be, that language should be changed or
If this
modified.
passes, then it should be amended.
Yeah. just
Is
go ahead
the
and amend it.
term of 3 years from today, or is that the term of 3 years from
From the
September?
date it's signed, and I'm assuming that it would go, it hasn't been signed yet, it would have to be approved.
Good eye.
And it would go forward from the date that they signed it and the city approved it.
All right, so it's not retro. Good eye, so.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
but that should be corrected.
So are we to understand that this was first drafted in September?
That would have been the first, yes, and that's what we talked about earlier.
Okay.
Oh, that needs to be amended.
You certainly can do a motion to amend it.
If they want, I need a motion to amend if you want to amend it.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we amend the management agreement to be made effective as of today, should we pass this.
Is there a second? No second. So,
Would there be
a motion to,
Call for the question.
No one wishes to amend it, it won't be amended.
yeah,
So you'll vote on the current.
I'm not, I'll take a motion, but
So, Mayor, before us, I believe would be the option of either tabling it
Or-
moving to vote on it. Do you have an interest in entertaining either of those motions?
I'll make a motion to table it.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor of tabling it, say aye. Aye. Tabled. All right,
That will have to come into the next meeting, so.
yep, let's bring it to the next meeting. That's fine. Next is city manager's report.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. I have Brian Brookhart. I was going to have him provide an update on the last snow event on Friday, just to indicate how well our folks did.
Yes, we ended up calling out employees around 4:45 on Friday evening to address the snow that came in. At first, it was predicted that we were going to get an inch or two of snow, and as you can tell, we ended up getting a little bit more than that. So we were out a little longer than was anticipated. We had 5 of our trucks out till about 3 o'clock in the morning dealing with that. We sent crews home about 7 or 7:30 in the morning. The main streets that were slushy and had been thawing out refroze due to the extreme drop in temperature and the wind picking up speed. So we brought crews back in to put additional salt down on the main streets, which worked very effectively to take care of that. So we certainly appreciate all of our staff for coming in and working long hours after working a long day as well.
We got great staff, and I
Yeah.
appreciate them as well.
And I'd just like to finish with the fact that I was out that evening, and as soon as you left the city limits and went out in the county, it was very poor driving conditions, so just kudos to the staff that was out that night. And lastly, just I received a notification from the Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA, and our finance department has received the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the period of fiscal year 2022. And I just wanted to let the finance department know that they just do an outstanding job. I mean, really, two things are the backbone of the city. First is your finances, and second is human resources. And they did an outstanding job. One thing that was brought to light that Jerry was indicating was that GFOA has 3 reviewers that have extensive government experience in accounting that go through our records, and they're the ones that validate and provide the certificate of award. Thank you.
Thank you. And next on the agenda is commissioners' comments. I will start with Commissioner Vetter.
Thank you. I'll do quickly. Citizens should be aware that we are starting the enforcement of the policy for trash containers. I've talked with Brian, and we're in the process of putting together a written kind of a statement about what people should do and not do for trash containers. Excuse me. We're aware that we've had a policy on that for some time, and we're starting to implement that now. So in general, you should not put trash containers out until 24 hours before your scheduled pickup, and trash containers should not be on the city streets or right-of-way until you don't have more than 24 hours to keep them out.
24 hours after.
Didn't say that well. So that's coming out, and you'll have a statement about that coming out. Wanted to say that the Southview Neighborhood Association will be holding a meeting on Thursday night, February 29. Purpose of the meeting, other than general business, is to entertain a presentation from Park Bank in reference to a first-time homebuyers project. And if that presentation is deemed accessible and interesting, we will try to schedule a citywide meeting. I'm aware that there are other organizations that provide similar kinds of things, and I think citizens would be interested in that. We have the 3rd meeting for the Hance Pavilion coming up. That'll be in March, so we'll share that date with you at some point in time. I have received a couple of bits of information about what I'm going to call the Scenic River Project. I'm aware that the Great Miami River has a lot of handicaps to making it a scenic river, but I think the idea is a good one, and we'll proceed with it and see how far we can go with it to see if we can make that happen. I'm aware that the Parks Department is talking about the possibility of having a disc golf course at Moat Park. Currently, a lot of Moat Park is mowed but not really used for other things, and so that conversation is happening in the Parks Board if you're interested in that. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to say was, if you're not familiar with it, the PNIC organization, Piqua Neighborhood Improvement Corporation, and its leading person, Joe Wilson, has received the Hench Award for community service, and there'll be information about that coming out. But it's a nice thing to recognize that Neighbors Helping Neighbors is a well-recognized project. And they've done a good job, and they're receiving some public recognition for that. So with that, I will move.
All right. Commissioner DeBras, your comments, please.
Thank you. I heard from a few constituents over the last couple of weeks who expressed a couple of questions that they had that I couldn't answer. So I thought I would use this time to ask those.
Sure.
Just a couple of questions. The first one is, apparently there was a community flower garden down by referees and the statue down there. Was that flower bed altered, or did referees expand their space? What was the history behind that? Can you help clarify that? for me?
Right, so there was a gardening club that took care of the space, and when the patio was expanded, at that time, we reviewed the current plantings that were there, and much of it was overgrown, and so the city is part of Phase 1. I mean, the entire quads in that downtown are gonna be redeveloped at some point in the future, was to clean things up and be able to access the patio, and that's where we're gonna put we put the Christmas trees that are immature at this point. But yes, it's been modified.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Commissioner DeBras. I do seem to remember, is this potentially related to last summer? There was a bunch of sweet old ladies who came up and spoke, and I believe that there was some accusations that their watering systems were broken in some way, and that there was, I guess, what they saw as their hard work that they put into beautifying the city was ruined, essentially.
No, everything was repaired, and they still maintain the site down there around the Gentili statue. And so it was essentially just cleaning up that area so that the people that sit on the patio would have, they would be able to view the entire area and not just the back of the bushes that were several years old.
The second one is at some point in time, it was brought up at a commission meeting regarding I don't know if this was a private business or a company that was going to give tours of the city of Piqua.
Mr. Smith? Don Smith?
Is that still a thing? Was there any involvement with the city? Was this a private, do you have any idea what the status of that is?
Right, and that was Don Smith that started that, and so I believe he did give some tours over the summer, if not one, maybe two. And he did ask for city participation, and so we allowed them to use Fort Piqua Plaza at no cost as part of that, and so they celebrated that architecture as part of their tour.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds it? Yep. Commissioner Simmons?
My turn. Okay. Hey, everybody. So this morning, like in the very early hours, around sunrise, there was a house fire.
Yes.
Down on Wood Street.
Yes.
Just down the hill from my place.
I saw that.
And I've seen it on Facebook that the family's been asking for donations and stuff. So if you guys use Facebook, look for that. I know I'm going to be going and looking through to see what extra furniture and stuff I have, see what anything else I can do to help them, because they pretty much got burned out of their house. Anyway, so last weekend we had a little class at Stonebridge Church, just up the street here, and we had 7 out of the 10 students showed up for the Tech in a Day ham radio class. We have 3 new ham radio operators in the area. I would like to congratulate Mr. Adam Sees.
Please stand up and.
Please stand up. He doesn't have his call sign yet, but he will.
We'll get it.
And, huh?
All right.
Well, hot diggity, there you go. And also Josh Blacksher, who I think he works for you, doesn't he, Brian? Josh Blacksher, he works.
No.
Paul Sherry.
Works for Paul Sherry.
Oh, he works for Paul Sherry. Okay. Anyway, he got a 35 out of 35
That's
on
amazing.
his test. That just blew me away.
Smart guy.
And he's also already taken all of his FEMA classes. So there's like 4 FEMA classes I asked him to take online, and he was just all over it. Anyway, so the spring and training season is coming up, and it's not just for amateur radio. We get these funny little things coming out of the sky called tornadoes, right? And so the National Weather Service, they rely on radar, but radar's not completely effective, even though they have overlapping radars. They rely on us, and so they actually have this class called Skywarn. You can take it online if you go out to www.weather.gov/ILN, India, Lincoln, Nancy. And you can sign up for one of those classes. It's whopping 2 hours. It's a great investment of your time. I take it every year just so that I remember what to look for. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Commissioner Homan.
Yeah, I was meaning to bring this up last commission meeting, but I forgot about it. The city manager shared with us a wonderful report a few weeks ago that Piqua was, correct me if I'm wrong, we were number 7 in the whole state of Ohio for bikeable cities.
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome. And I read through that list, and I saw that Oxford and Bowling Green were ahead of us, which I can personally attest is incorrect. So we're really 5 at least. But you know, if 2 of them were wrong, maybe there's more of them that were wrong too.
Didn't you live in
Yeah,
Oxford for a
I
while?
lived in Oxford and I lived close to BG. So I can definitely attest that Oxford is not a bikeable city. At least they get very upset at you when you bike around down there.
Yep.
I mean, the whole reason I even bought a house here in Piqua was for the bike trails. I've been biking the trails for 10 years, and I'm excited to go into summer number 11 here pretty soon. And I just wanted to give a thanks to the city and just highlight to the community what a good job we do and what a good job your team does at maintaining that bike trail, and especially Mr. Schmeezing with opening the new bridge and reconnecting us back to the largest bike path network in the entire United States. It's, I think, 380 miles of interconnected, dedicated bike trail, not sharing the road with cars, which is a really great asset to this community, and it's great to be reconnected to that network. And hopefully our neighbors to the north will join us on that network pretty soon, hopefully. But that was my comment, was just highlighting to the community what a great job they do with the bike trail, and definitely get out there.
Thank you. My comments. I'm looking forward to the Mills Brothers mural being put up. So more on that to come, especially when they come and project it up on the wall. And people can swing by and see that. And a dedication of the gazebo. Black History Month's been in full swing, and if you've been following my Facebook, there's a fact a day about Black history. I appreciate that. I like hearing positive stuff in commission meetings. It's not all doom and gloom, but it's good to hear the good stuff from time to time, and we appreciate it when people bring us good news, but then we do appreciate when people with issues let us know that we have issues so that we can deal with those issues and confront them as well. So, and with that said, we're going to be done with commissioners' comments and open it up for public comment. Sir.
Yes, my name is Sean Rickert. I am the volunteer executive director at Wilma's Place.
Yep.
And I'm also the executive director at Bethany Center. First of all, I want to thank you all for your service here to the public. I know you just get a stipend, and this is about service, so I appreciate all of you commissioners doing this. I also want to make a comment. I know it's past Christmas, but whoever handled the lights downtown I thought were spectacular this year, so that's commendable. I hope that continues. And also, I think another great service from the community is we get a call every now and then and say, hey, you're leaking water someplace, and we go track it down, and it saves us money. So I think that's a fantastic service.
It is.
But the reason I'm here, and unfortunately it's going to be more negative, because,
No, that's all right. We
because
need to know.
I was kind of drawn into this, and Jim and I, you and I have spoke quite a few times at length, and I'm incredulous, Jim, as to after everything we talk about, how you boil it down. So 3 times you've mentioned Wilma's Place, and the only thing you've had to say is that we house sex offenders, and that's a concern for you. So as Paul Harvey says, I'm here to tell you the rest of the story, okay? So the fact is, so what happens when you make those comments is it carries a lot of weight when it comes from the city, okay? And they're incendiary, and they spark things up, like on Facebook. They quote the vice mayor. And you say you're concerned, and I think I'm going to demonstrate here that I don't think your actions, I think your actions and your inactions say you're really not concerned about this issue. The first thing I want to set straight is that there's a rumor going on that if you're a registered offender
and you leave prison or jail, if you don't have an address, you can't leave jail, and that's just not true. They do leave jail, and they're in the city. So prior to us, what was going on is that they were on the bike trails. You passed them. You didn't know.
You didn't know.
You didn't know, and they didn't let you know, okay? They were in sheds, they were in tents, they were in the post office. And we thought it would be better for them to be in a place with cameras and accountability. And so the city had no solution, so that was the solution we provided as part of a service that we're providing to the community. In addition, we had to vote on it as Wilma's Place, where we're going to deal with this. I also want to mention that there's over 70 offenders in Piqua. And I find it interesting that you called us out for housing the ones that were already here off the bike trail. You didn't call out the landlords. You didn't call out the realtors. You didn't bring heat their way. You did bring heat our way. But the sheriff's office, we're in constant communication with them, Carol down there, and they love what we're doing. Because what we provide for the city is the highest level of accountability for an offender. If an offender lives at 000 Main Street, they don't know if they're really there. They know they're there, there's cameras, and I invite them in, but I let them know if you are going to just use this as an address, I'm reporting you to Carol, and I'm in constant communication with Carol. Then the other comment you made last time was that I agreed with you that it wasn't the right place. The full story on that, as I said, I would love for a facility between Piqua and Troy, but it's a multi-million-dollar proposition. So I do want to say, you say you're concerned, and so April 1st, you're going to have an opportunity to show that concern, because they'll be back homeless again, because that's when we close down. So you'll have if you will solve the problem before November, we won't have to house them again. The money's there, and so here's what I want to say, and I didn't want to be negative, but you brought me into it, is that when you say that you're concerned, would you say you give money to the hotel and you give money to all these other projects, that's more important to you than this issue, okay? So, because the money's there, you could handle this if it was really a concern for you. So that's the solutions. We will have 2 at our location tonight, and the option is they would be out in a tent someplace here in town, and nobody would know where they're at. So the final thing I do want to say is that Johnston Farm will be opening up soon. I encourage everybody to head out there and support it. I try to make it out there every year, and Jim does a great tour out on the Erie Canal out there, so I encourage everybody to go out and see Jim out there. And Jim, you were being a little humble. My understanding was the award wasn't only for Joe Wilson, but you were included in that award as well. It was a group award. So thank you for your service, and that's it. Thank you.
Good
Thank
job.
you, Sean.
Just to add to that, the Johnson Farm will have a eclipse viewing opportunity. I think it's at April 8th. It's a Monday, I believe. And there was some concern that maybe Piqua would not have something where other communities are. And the Johnson Farm will have something, more information to come.
And to respond to an accusation that I wasn't aware that some of them live on the bike trail, I actually was aware of that and some of their other addresses in relation to criminal activity. So I was aware of that, and it wasn't in a good light as to the reason why I was aware of that.
Thank you.
Diana Park, 4380 Brunson Lane. I'm thrilled that you guys changed it back. It's confusing because it seems like every month you change something. So I'm glad about that. But now I'm confused because it said no clapping. So,
Those
of course,
rules have been in place since 2006.
okay, so we're allowed to clap about the Mills Brothers. You're allowed to be up here clapping because of the radio, but we're not allowed to clap.
Clapping and jeering are in a
No,
negative way.
you
I'm
got to
just
make
telling
it
you.
kind of cool. Okay, so there was somebody yelling from their seat, answering questions, didn't get up, and you guys have to make up your mind because you're being nitpicky on other people.
No, I
Like
didn't.
Alicia Lang. You just proved it tonight.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Thank you, though.
Come on.
No.
Seriously.
No.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not.
Well, I think people at home can watch and see
Yeah, they
that
can.
you have a set of rules for some. We're only allowed to talk for 5 minutes and not to call out But I bet you if you watch that, I bet you that's going to be 15 minutes he got to talk. So I'm just saying,
Everybody was talking to him.
you've got a different set of rules, and it shows.
Okay.
And so you told me, I think a month ago, that if I had questions, not to address you guys, I was to address the city manager.
You can do that.
I did that. So I addressed the city manager, and then I'm told that I have to email. You guys keep on moving the bar.
You can still address him and just, he'll answer you in an email. Did you get an email today?
I didn't email him.
Did you get an email from Frank today?
Yeah, I did.
So,
What-
I mean, if you can, and we ask you to email the city manager as well, you'll get an answer.
Well, if I ask, I mean,
If we don't have the
if
answer
the
right
city
here.
manager went to Amy or Kevin or whatever, and it's something that's been addressed for 6 months, and they said, well, email me, put it in writing, and I'll get back with you in a couple weeks. I bet you that wouldn't fly. So that's what we have asked you over and over, questions, and then now I'm being told to email. After 6 months, you should know the answer. You signed the agreements. First you said you didn't. Then finally, when we show that your signature's on there, now you can't answer any questions. It has to be emailed. It's a privilege that doesn't seem to be applied to any other employee in a job. That wouldn't fly.
You're not my employee.
That's a stupid answer.
No, it's not.
It really actually is.
It's not.
So you answer to the people. The people have been asking over and over questions, and you aren't answering them.
I am answering.
And I don't
just
know any
respond-
other city manager that's ever done that.
I do
So
respond.
you're kind of
Now,
over your
are you-
head.
No, why are you cutting me off when I'm trying to respond?
You're gaslighting like always. This is what we get. This is always what we get. I've experienced this for the past 6 months. I sit back there and watch it. People at home do. So why didn't you ever answer my questions then?
I asked you to email me. You did not email me the questions. Part of that has to do with the fact that you go and hold up documents that I can't see from here, and so I don't know.
It's not a document you need to see. It was a question.
Well, so when you asked what I signed, and I didn't sign all the documents that had to do with that particular site, I'm not going to get into it. And I asked you if you had-
2021, you did sign the MOU. We asked you that. I asked you why you signed the MOU without city commission approval, why the people didn't get to know. And you said, email me. Now I'm hearing I have to email you after I've asked that a couple times. Why can't you just answer why you did this behind closed doors and didn't let the people know, and you didn't let the commission? It was never commission approved.
The commission knew, and I would be happy to go back and evaluate it and answer your questions if you want to be specific in an email. But I'm not going to sit here.
I am
This is not an
asking a
interrogatory.
question that you don't
Thank you,
understand.
Diane. Your time's up.
Of course it is.
Hi, Melanie Walker, 526 North Wayne. And I just wanted to say what an amazing job the city did with the snow removal. The side streets, we're on a secondary street, no big deal on that. I was in Springfield late Saturday afternoon. It was a mess in their downtown area. You couldn't get close enough to the curb to park. They wanted you to just use the parking garages. So I think Piqua did an amazing job. So thank y'all for that. The other thing is that I know that it's been brought up several times about the homeless people and how, they're not being taken care of. And I just want to tell you, there are people in the community that are helping the homeless people with clothes, taking them places, checking up on them and that. And so I just want to say it is happening. It may not be in front of your face, but it is going on, and there's someone that's just doing a fabulous job taking care of them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave Smith, 701 Fisk. Okay, so clearly, if we want to know stuff. We were told to ask you. We get nothing. So there's a communications problem here between us and you guys. I don't understand how there is one, because I've understood everything they've said, and when it's come here and they try to explain, you guys talk down to us. Shake your head, no, I don't care. We're all under the impression, you guys tell us you want to fix this, you want to fix that, you want to do this, you want to do that, you want to benefit us, the people, da 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 da. The things that her and Alicia and everybody complains about, you guys treat them and anybody who talks about it like trash. You can say, shake your head no all you want, but you guys do. They come up here and they've actually read emails to things that they tell you about, and you guys just sit here. You just sit here and look stupid. We know you know what we're talking about. You play dumb with us. Don't appreciate it. So the only question I really got, because I'm sick of listening to this crap with everybody, and this deals with voting, I don't know who I should ask, what would it take to recall every last elected individual in this town to clean it up? What would I have to do to get that done?
Oh.
Because it's been done in other towns, and it can be done here
It's in
too.
the charter, it's quite difficult. As a matter of
How
fact,
many
some-
signatures would I need?
What is that?
How many signatures would I need to recall everyone elected in town? Because we have a management problem here.
Certain people, like Mr. Simmons, cannot be recalled till 6 months after their term. Anybody that was elected, and I believe Mr. Lee was also, Mayor Lee was also elected, have 6 months prior after their terms where they cannot be recalled. Give me a second and I'll look here.
I don't care about the time frame. I want to know how many signatures I need.
It's a lot.
I need a number. A lot to me
Sure,
could be two.
If you just wait a second, I will give you the number.
Oh, and by the way, whoever started that clock when the last one was speaking, you violated her right by at least 3 minutes. Well, a minute and a half. You started it before she even started talking. So, welcome to a possible lawsuit.
If she would like to come back up for another 3 minutes, she's more than welcome to.
Yeah, well, but do you see what I'm saying? What I said earlier, and you guys tried to cut me off. You guys don't understand. I don't know how I'm outthinking all of you. It amazes me. I only have a high school education.
You said earlier that we sat up here silently, but now you're accusing us of cutting you off.
But you,
which-
if I'm like what you just did, see this what I don't understand. This is the
What
lawyer
did I do?
over here who understands what I'm saying. When you guys sit here, you guys are under the impression that Robert's rules is something. Everything you do here is governed by the U.S. Constitution. It's called public comment. You need to learn. You work for us. You are our employees. Therefore, I understand your 5 minutes. That's all about decorum. That's us being polite and nice about it. But when you guys sit here, and like I said, you're government. It's easier for us to get you for slander than it is for you, when you're talking about people in the community, businesses, you're disparaging people. You're government. You have a very, very high standard on you. You might want to read your Constitution and perhaps look up case law when you're doing things, because what you're doing is going to get you sued out of existence. There is case law here in Ohio for doing what you did to Alicia. Cost that city $300,000. No ifs, ands, or buts. Same reason. You didn't like what they were saying. Too bad. You have to take it. That's First Amendment. The fact that he didn't stop you from doing it amazes me. And the fact that there's 3 police officers in here that know the law and didn't try to stop you from doing that amazes me also. Scary, actually, because they're law enforcement. They should know this stuff, and he should too. He passed a bar for it. He did Law 101 to learn that.
So the answer to your question on how many signatures, it takes 1,250 registered voters within 30 days after the affidavit for recall is filed.
Is there a special type of form I have to have, or who do I get that from?
You can
Or
look
do I
at
just print it
section
up?
120 of the Piqua Charter, 121 and 122.
And when are there, you said it was what, 6 months?
No, it's within 30 days.
No, of being able to come after.
Oh,
I think you said that was like 6 months, I think.
you're putting me on the spot.
No,
I'd have
I'm
to
just
look
asking in
at
general,
it.
because I mean, I'm flat out going to do
I
this.
believe that they have, that the two new commissioners have a 6-month period
Right,
of time. where
but
they cannot.
everybody else
That's correct.
is.
I believe I also got 6 months. Mine just might be up a little sooner than the two more
Maybe.
recent.
I
Yeah,
would have to look
you're
at
about
it.
a month before them, I think.
Yeah, so yeah, I think you can start on me in May. Would it have to be people from my ward for those signatures?
It has to be registered voters in the
Okay.
city of Piqua, and it has to be within 30 days of an affidavit being filed.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Mr.
Everybody be prepared. I'm coming to your houses in 30 days, gathering signatures. We're going to clean the city my way instead of their way.
All right, and you probably need to learn the difference between behavior and speech. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're done. Anybody else?
Retaliation
Next.
and doing your job.
Next. Thank you. Yeah, well,
Roland Sourmouth,
thank you, Roland.
I think my address, 426 South Street. I've been coming to these meetings for I don't know how long. I wish I would've started a lot sooner.
Mm-hmm.
But I have never heard the city try to get it better to help the people.
Get what?
The city helped to get it better for people. There's people in this town that don't have respect for this town. I mean, it's just sad. I mean, I go around a lot, and I talk to a lot of people, and it's just sad the information you get. And I eat out a lot, you can tell that. And I go talk to people. They come and talk to me, my business. And it's just, this town's got to start doing things for the people, not what you people want, like a Lock 9 or a golf course. Give the people the tax money, help them out. I ain't saying giving them money, but people in this town want something to enjoy. I mean, we come to meetings all the time, it's the same thing over and over and over. We gotta move on past things once in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, just things, I had meetings with you, and had a meeting with Frank and Paul, and, I ain't smart, but I know what's going on in this town.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to a lot of people, like I said. I know a lot of people. 20 years in business, know a lot of people. And it ain't good in this town what people thinks about this town. You got another rental house coming up. My neighbor's moving to Greenville. Can't sell his house, so he's gonna rent it out. It's just sad. I mean, I see it out there, because I'm out there all the time. And I talk to you all the time about it. We have good talks about it. But I don't see
Good
nothing
talk.
going on.
I hear you.
I don't see nothing going on in this town. And I got a goal before I die, and he knows what it is. When are we going to code enforcement, the worst thing they ever started in this town?
Every town has it, though.
Huh?
Every town has code.
But you gotta have common sense with it. I mean, you can't give, there's some dumps in this town, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
People ain't gonna like what I say, there's some dumps in this town, but you got people, or you got a piece of spout and get it up. We got worse than that in this town. I mean, there's a house down by me, a beautiful home. He got a letter in the mail. He thought he needed new shutters on his house because some of the paint was coming off. Beautiful home. That's just nitpicking who he wants to. I mean, I could tell you people, I've been through hell for 8 years with this code enforcement. I just wish somebody right around me, and I've called about people. I'll admit, I called, but does it get nowhere? No. I would just like to have Paul and Frank, I've been to court for him many times, get all his code enforcement papers and see what he's nitpicking about. A buddy of mine, he went and nitpicked him about, he got cars in his garage, didn't have an address on his garage. Put an address on it, we're gonna give you a statement. I I mean, it's just, you people don't see what's going on. I do. I do see what people going on. I mean, I sold a house on the street. It's a mess. I sold it 8 years ago. Nothing said about it. But my house is, I got some decent houses. And I've been going 8 years with this guy. He knows who it is. But he come down, everything was okay to my place. But he wasn't happy with it. He wasn't happy with it. They had to come down and have him write it off, say it's okay. So then he started on my houses. No reason at all. And you had a meeting, and you had a meeting the other day, and somebody else had a meeting the other day about a driveway I put in. I put a nice driveway in. I didn't pass the code enforcement law. He says, give $50 to get a thing. I gave $50. They turned it down. And I fought 5 years on my car lot. It cost me $350 to get all his enforcements, the codes up to do. Then they okayed it. $350 cost me for things that have been done for years. That ain't right to me. I don't bother nobody in this town. But I'm just telling you, this town is, I can see it, it ain't good in this town. I mean, you guys look and think, Frank known me for years. I never I like Frank. We have words. Oh, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Raul.
I'm watching. Right, Frank?
Cheesy Pete's.
Hi, Susan Spidel, 1103 Echo Lake Drive. So, I'm here to talk about the dam project and kind of segue into the current water problem situation that we have. First, about the dam project. And I did receive information from Kevin, which I don't really think it's up to date as far as the timeline, which was the exact timeline that when I talked to you the last time I looked at myself online. But, it's been almost 2 years now with the committee. And I know a lot of this is ODNR and some of these things, but I don't feel that the city has done a really good job of keeping the public informed. And I think what I'm seeing now with this much more serious situation is there's very little transparency with information coming from the city. And I read body language pretty well. I'm a salesperson. That's my business, to know those things. You guys get real bristly. And I know, and these people are fired up, and they have a right to be fired up. You were dishonest with the people, okay? And I mean, somebody in this room knew there were burning batteries here. Somebody knew. It's impossible that somebody didn't know. Contracts were signed. Things happened. I mean, this didn't just drop from a spaceship and we've got batteries getting burned, So somebody knows. The first step in solving a problem is acknowledging the problem and that you were a part of it. And relating back to your people. Because it appears that, and yeah, they're fired up and maybe they're inappropriate, but this is their life that you're messing with. And I really think you guys can help yourself by being a little more understanding why people are so fired up and giving them a clear path in transparency of how we got here.
I thought that's what we were doing with the committee, ma'am.
Oh, well, okay. again, you formed a committee for the dam project, and I never heard boo from the city for 2 years about where we were at.
There's
Do we
nothing
have
going on with the dam right now.
Do we have a
though.
committee
That's
for
why.
the ODNR dam project?
Yes, there's been a committee established, and there's been things posted to the website as we've gone through engineering and ODNR approvals, and it's been updated. But it's a very slow process with the bureaucracy with the state.
And I understand that, but I don't think that was very well explained, that, that process, Paul, wasn't really explained very well. That this is gonna be a long, long time. We thought I never got an answer on what the people voted for on the scenarios.
Well, the different scenarios that were laid out, there were public engagements and charrettes that were
Yes,
held.
and we
it
had
was
to
made-
vote, and
it
you
was-
wanted us to vote right now.
Well, it was all made public, and I believe it's still on the website.
There's nothing on the website about what the citizens voted for. Honest.
Well, I think that was made clear in priority what the decision was by that group. And you were added onto the distribution list, so you're gonna be a part of that group when it stood back up, right?
And I got more information, and then I'm just tying that situation to now, and Chris, you got fired up real quick. I mean, your demeanor changes. Oh, we got a committee.
We did.
Well, okay.
You're saying we didn't do anything, and we did. You're saying we didn't acknowledge that there was a problem, and we did.
Chris.
So I'm just telling you.
And I'm just telling you, whenever this topic comes up, you guys get real defensive real fast.
Defensive.
Yeah,
Just-
kinda.
No.
I mean, yeah.
Almost all of us voted for that committee to go find out what's happening.
I understand. But my concern is, yeah, you all voted. Okay, great. When is what's the process for the committee? What are the timelines that you're willing to make commitments to the people so that we have proper expectations of what the committee is going to do, what their tasks are, and on what time frame?
Frank, you wanna tell them?
So I'll address that part of it, and it's actually spelled out in the resolution. So
And pardon me, but where is the resolution?
We had it
it's the resolution, the text of the resolution is on the city's website, the same
Agenda
space
last-
where it is,
Pardon?
where you go to apply for the committee. The text of the resolution
Oh,
is there
okay.
as well.
Okay.
And I can make sure that you get a copy of it. But
Okay.
a couple of the concerns that you've expressed about the committee, I had as well. So we tried to address them in the actual creation of it. The first thing is that the application window closes tomorrow. It's 2 weeks. It closes tomorrow at noon.
Right, I knew that.
So the
Thank you.
next step then is at the next meeting, hopefully that we will get to the point to actually appoint members to the committee. Then the committee will have their introductory meeting where they'll formulate, and they'll begin getting to work. The committee then is required every first commission meeting of the month to show up and to brief the commission on the status of their work.
Okay.
The committee itself, has a lifespan of as long as it takes us to produce the report. The other thing you ask is what is their mission? What is the assignment they're giving? So the assignment is to generate a report to produce to the commissioners that explains how we went from the creation of this facility in 2017 to what it ultimately turned into in 2023. And along with the report, they are to, if they see fit, to make recommendations to the commission as to what needs to be done to, one, remedies to this so it doesn't happen again. What do we need to do? Are there ordinance changes we need to make, zoning codes that we need to make? But the part about recommendations is very vague. So as to not put guardrails on them to come up with
Right,
possible
well, they
solutions
need to get to the
this.
bottom of it.
Yes. So that's the report part and then recommendations part that then they will present to the commission itself. So
Okay.
I hope that helped answer some of this.
It does. And do we have a time frame on that?
So they will begin their work once we appoint the committee. They are statutorily required to meet once a month. They can meet more than that, but they are to meet once a month. And then they have to come and update us every month on their progress. So my assumption is that they're not going to want to have to come in here month after month and give updates. And what we could probably do to make that even more timely is to put them at the very end of the meeting, so that they'd have to sit here for hours on end, and that be an extra incentive, right, for them to work as quickly as possible, but still produce the work that we're looking for.
Okay.
And then, as for your questions about the dam project and the ODNR, that sort of stuff, so I was a member of the utility board for the past year, during 2023. So Kevin Craney and also Chris Schmiesing and a lot of Paul's team, they've been working very hard on trying to get that dam recertified by the state of Ohio, get it reclassified so that we don't have to do anything aggressive or outrageous to it. I was looking up an email while you were speaking of a constituent that had reached out to me about that last week. There was a concern that the commission, the city, really wanted to drain those ponds, and that was not the case at all. Essentially, Ohio came in and said, hey, you're going to have to do something with these because of the way we've got them classified. So the city has done a tremendous amount of work on creating a large report as to why Ohio should allow us to keep it as it is. And that was sent forward, and it's been there, I think, 4 months, maybe a little bit longer. I think you want to speak to that in a second here, but I hear you on what's the process and procedure for that, and really nobody knows. I mean, we're talking about rebuilding a dam that's maybe 50 years old or older. There's not like an established flow chart for that. We're all figuring it out as we go. As for the why hasn't there been an update about it? There was an update about it when the report was initially sent. The utility board meetings are open to the public. It's discussed in those meetings frequently.
So that I'm in the loop.
And as I just pointed out, the report that
I
was
don't
sent off
spend
to
all day long on your website.
Yeah,
I go peek in there. There's a lot of information to flow through. So that's why I'm here, and I want to encourage everybody. The only last thing I have to say is this community is broken. The trust is broken. And it's going to take a lot of work from all of you guys and a lot of transparency to rebuild the community's trust. And and building trust is a two-way street. But honestly, it's got to start with you guys.
We're
it does
starting
have.
it,
I know.
and we're starting it.
I know, but every time anybody comes up, the tensions rise. I mean, Chris.
No,
I'm
you're good.
I'm just telling you what I see.
I know.
Okay, and
I
you're
appreciate
arguing
what
with
you
me.
see, but I see too. So
I'll deny.
thank you. It's a river in Egypt.
Evening. John Wessel, 1820 Eagles Lake. First off, I just want to make one quick last comment about that last agenda item related to the banquet center.
Yes, sir.
I would absolutely encourage the commission to engage with somebody in the private sector to run the banquet center. I want to be crystal clear on that. I had questions about it. I think you guys should have questions about it, but I agree that the city, especially a city this size, should not be in the business of running a banquet center, right? Big cities, different resources, hire experts in that. We're not one of those. So I think we should get the most value out of that contract.
Sure.
The hotel is certainly an asset to the city. It's something that we poured a tremendous level of funding into, and so we should leverage that however we can. Second comment related to public comments. One, I just want to point out that some of your predecessors have not been as diligent as you are running this meeting and ensuring that there's public comment for every agenda item. That does and has in the past sometimes gotten skipped. So I think ensuring that at least at the end of the meeting, as part of the meeting, there's public comment. And I understand the difficulties in the minutes and, we're paraphrasing what somebody says, and I get that. So appreciate the fact that that's going to be left within the regular meeting, that it will be televised or streamed now as it is. So appreciate that.
No, appreciate you saying that.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, Tanya Blair.
I just wanted to let you know, Chris, I sent you an email just a little while ago, and it had some things on there about Robert's rules and how things are run. Not real sure, but from what I read, I understand that an executive session, which you guys did before this meeting, is allowed, but you
And we
guys are
stated
supposed
the
to
reason.
vote on that executive meeting in this meeting here to go into executive committee.
We did. We did.
Okay.
You weren't here for it, so.
Well,
but
I
we-
wasn't here because I'm not part of the executive
Oh,
committee.
no,
No,
you, no, you.
we opened the regular session up.
You opened the meeting?
At
Okay.
5:15, which was announced.
Okay.
And that was what
I
was on
didn't
the
think it
city
started till
website.
You know.
6, so I'm just kind of wondering, you know, I'm not trying to tell you how to do anything or
You're not
anything.
tr- you're
but
asking
she
good
was
questions.
actually,
Right.
she was actually very correct in what she said. There are some people that are getting the 5 minutes and some people are getting way over. So I don't, to be fair to everyone, you should give everybody 5 minutes and not just let other people run off and keep
Okay,
going.
I'll cut people off if that's what you
Well,
want.
no, I'm saying if you're going to cut one person off at 5 minutes, you should cut everybody off at 5 minutes.
I've been letting people go beyond 5 minutes for most.
And
I mean,
that's
Most
great.
everybody goes beyond 5
But
minutes.
it was some people, they weren't. They were told 5 minutes and you're done. Go, go.
The charter, and actually, I'm giving you an example of this right now. So when I start engaging with you, your time extends as I'm engaging with you. But also the charter, I believe, states that any commissioner, including the mayor, at any time during public comment can kind of deem it as not relevant to the topics of discussion or not of public value and cut it off. But you usually allow 5 minutes.
He does. And I'm just saying that other people are seeing that, and that's where that comment came from, Chris, because one person was timed, one person was not, okay? I'm not going to name names or anything, and then it happened again just a few minutes ago, that one person was timed, one person wasn't. I'm getting timed, another person wasn't. So that's not a big deal to me. I don't really care. I'm not up here to
I let people finish their
nitpick.
thoughts.
I know you're trying. I know you really are, Chris. My other question had to do with, I'm sorry, I lost my note. I guess the executive session thing, just making people wait 25 minutes plus was a little much, and I would prefer that you not do that to people. I mean, your time's as valuable as ours, and that was kind of a long time to wait, make people wait for a meeting that's supposed to start at 6 o'clock.
Well,
And I know
no.
you were an executive and you had things to do, but
Did you read the agenda?
Yes, I did.
It started at 5:15 is when the meeting started.
For the executives, to call the executive commission.
But
I don't even see 6 o'clock on the
there's
agenda
no
today.
6 o'clock
If
time.
you go to the website, it says commission meeting starts at 6 o'clock.
Mr. City Manager? So-
I'm looking right now.
Okay.
I looked, that's where
I
I
know.
pulled it up, and I knew I had to be here at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I think I understand your point, because that's probably a placeholder, which is, maybe not
Right,
ideal.
and it's fine, I just, just kind of stay on, I mean, just, if you say something, you should be good for it.
I will encourage the website to stay more up to date with whatever the specific time is on the agenda. And then just for your knowledge, I would encourage you to download the agenda on that day so you can be for
So
sure
you'll know.
on what day.
The
'cause-
agenda says the
yeah.
specific time.
Right, but
So-
am I supposed to sit here from 5:15 while
That
you
is
guys are in executive committee?
That's up to you.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to sit here while you're in executive committee. So I want to know when your meeting starts that you want us here for. I understand what executive committee is and that
And
we're not allowed
sometimes
to
it
be
takes-
there.
and Sometimes it takes longer.
I understand that, but I'm saying at the people's expense, sometimes, this meeting is really long and late, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys are ready to go home too. So that's just, it was an observation.
Just, I guess to give you a little context of what we talked about during executive session, it's publicly announced what we talked about, and it was mostly about that last agenda item about that Hampton contract. And as was evident by public comment, that was a very high-intensity, interesting item to talk about, and so that's probably why we went over. We discussed it for a very long time while we were in executive session.
And
so.
we talked about legal issues that we needed to talk about as well.
Like I said, I understand your reasons for it. I'm just saying, can you try to be a little more considerate of people's times? We try to be considerate of your time too, You know that, Chris. I have never wasted your time. Every time
No,
I talk to
not
you,
at all.
I have a point, I have a reason, And I have one more question.
Sure.
Are we doing the rental program or are we not doing the rental program?
A great question.
It is a good question, and there's more to come on that. I
As
mean,
of-
we've got it, we're not, it's not
Yeah,
an
as of right now, it's ordinance and law, right?
ordinance, but, you know.
Well,
we're
I know that, you know, I sat with you and
Yep.
other people
You
in
w-
this
you worked
community.
with
We
me.
talked about having a rental rental committee.
Committee.
I don't know, which we had
Well,
kind of started it. We met
We
a few
started
times.
it, but then
and
people didn't want to do it, so
I never told you I didn't
you
want to do
didn't,
it.
but
And I know there's other people that were still interested.
if you're still interested, I'm
But
interested.
I was told that because I don't live in the city of Piqua, that I wasn't allowed to be on that committee anymore.
No, this would be one of those kind.
If
for
I'm allowed, I
everybody.
would, you have my number, Chris.
You have property here, so.
Yeah,
I
I have
understand.
more than one property here, so.
there you go.
Yeah, I have interest here.
All right,
But-
I'll let you go
All right,
because
thank
I'm
you. Sorry, I
extending
know
your
we're
time.
wasting your time.
Not wasting it all.
Mayor, just a point of clarification, the reoccurring meeting the calendar, it does say 6 o'clock, but it's set up for the entire year. So if you go to the commission meeting agenda and pull that down, it's advertised for the different start date.
Yeah.
And that's typically because it does swing depending if we have an executive session or
Yep.
not. And so I would encourage anybody to use the Piqua alerts
Okay,
to get notified when the agendas have been prepared and they're ready.
okay. Thank you. Sir.
Thomas Beck, 1507 Garfield Street. Just that conversation there about starting the meeting late. Text one of these people over here saying, hey, we're going to run past 6. They say, hey, everybody, we're running a little late. We'll be out as soon as we possible. You've communicated with the people. It helps.
Okay.
It's something simple. It don't need, things like that don't need to get combative.
No.
You know, and you do throw nonverbals. You may not mean it. I believe you when you say you don't,
Yep.
but you throw them. You got TV here. Get on YouTube and watch yourself.
Sure.
You know, sometimes you just, you know, you just got to put a filter on, you know, and not roll the eyes or no or interject. You're doing a great job. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy as you as a mayor. I just think that's an area of improvement that you have.
I can use it.
All right. Now, I've been around government my whole life. My parents were always on councils or boards in a small town. Everybody knew everybody. All the kids played together. We all knew each other. I've broadcast council meetings in another municipality for 38 years.
Wow.
It's a charter government, much like this. You know, and in both those situations, I've seen situations where a bunch of good people up here, well-qualified people over here, for whatever reason, no fault of any of their own, they just can't get it together, or else collectively they can't get it together with the community. We have that problem here. It needs to stop.
Suggestion?
Take a deep breath, think before you speak, think before you roll the eyes. People here, same thing. Calm down, take a deep breath, work the problem. Don't let the emotion get in the way. There's nothing that this community can't solve if we just work together.
Sure.
And that starts with you. You know, he said he didn't work for us. That's technically correct. He works for you. You work for us. You know, he should have clarified that. That rubbed me wrong. Something's broken. I don't know what it is. I hope it don't come to a recall. That's terrible optics. I don't want a recall in this town. That's good for no one. We just need to calm down, take a deep breath, let's work together, let's work the problems. If you make a mistake, you make a mistake. We all make mistakes. Sure. Just fess up to it, say we're sorry, we didn't approach this as well as we should have, and take steps to make sure it never happens again, and move on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your time's up.
Oh, thanks. I'm going to speak anyways. Adam Cease, 1853 West Parkway. Boy, this has been a meeting. And I like what that last guy said, but boy, glad the camera's not on my face, because if it would have been on at this meeting, I would have been in big trouble. You know, my grandpa, and I kept his name on back here, my grandpa, Bob Cease, was pretty well known in this community. Pretty jealous of his ability to have everybody like him, and he liked everybody. Didn't matter. Heck, he liked our last city manager. What was his name? Huff. I didn't care much for Huff, but Grandpa always said he was a good guy. Grandpa liked anybody. He found the best in everybody. He's not with us anymore, and I don't quite have his ability to do that, although we do still have my beautiful grandma, Valerie Cease, shout out. I try to be like my grandpa. I try to be as fair and as able to agree with everyone. And to what that last guy said, a lot of it just comes down to emotion. You know, I won't lie, you could go back on my Facebook and look, I was no lover of the city. Chris knows this. He's about the only one I liked. And let me tell you, I really didn't like Gary Huff. I didn't like the flower pots. I didn't like how everything people suggested to him, he did the exact opposite. Now, I will say, I don't want to keep being your cheerleader, but, I mean, I've talked to him a few times, and we don't agree on everything. We definitely don't agree on the gravel situation with Roland. I think, you know, here's the deal I'll make. I will fix Roland's driveway when Chris Schmeezing puts a non-gravel driveway in at his house. Sorry, Chris. There's got to be a way for everybody to come together. And I like what the last guy said. It's about emotion. And I think the city's biggest problem, what I've learned now that I've come and become involved, and by the way, I did sign up to be on the planning commission, so if you guys accept me, great. That's what everybody should do. You know, if you're a citizen of the town, you should get involved. You know, there's 5 wards. Anyone can run, as long as you're a citizen of the city of Piqua, for one of these wards. I'm glad I'm not up there. I'm glad my guy's up there because I don't want to, that's too much for me. Get involved. Come here with positive solutions. I will tell you, I've emailed pretty much everybody standing up here all the way around, and I've always gotten answers, but I'm very polite, and you know, I know government doesn't work the greatest sometimes. Government's not the fastest thing. Government's not like business. If a customer gets a hold of me, I got to get something right now. You guys, unfortunately, don't work that way, and that's not just Piqua, that's everywhere. There's got to be a way to work through this without the drama. And I don't want to see people getting kicked out of here. I would like Alicia to be able to come up here and speak. I would like Diane to be able to come up here and speak. And you know, Diane, Jeff, and Alicia, without them, we might still be burning batteries out on 66. So there's some praise to be given. But people have reached the point where either I'm right or I'm right, and it's just, we're just doing this nonstop. We're butting heads. Nobody's getting along. That's not good for anybody. I mean, I can tell you, I'll speak for Jeff. Jeff's a great guy. I go to his restaurant. I get along with him great. We don't agree with everything city-wise, but that's okay. We're adults. I mean, okay, I worked with kids for 5 years, driving school bus. I keep saying this, broken record. Kids are easier to get along than some of us adults, and it's not just them. It's everybody. So we all just need a reset. I mean, I will be more than willing to take my time and try not to roll my eyes and help people. Everybody can get together and get along. It's not that hard. We're adults. We can do better than that. So, you know, if you have a question, email Paul. I have had no problems getting, I don't always get the answer I want, and we're going to talk about one of those answers here after the meeting. There's got to be an easier way. There's got to be a better way. So I'm not just calling to you guys, I'm calling to the people out there listening. Yeah. And in fact, I would, at some point, if we can all come together, I think we should let Alicia come back and speak, because she did, you know, I call it like it is. That's the one thing. I got that from my mother, not from my grandpa. I call it like it is, and there's some information that Alicia brought that's great. I don't always agree with the way she did it, but she did it. You know, now we're doing this board, and obviously her and Diane aren't on and don't live in the city, so they can't be part of it directly, but
they have information.
I would really like them to be part of it so that they feel included. Everybody should feel included. Nobody should feel like the city's their enemy, and you know what I mean. I mean, it's just so frustrating to try to be in the middle like that. So, hey, it's almost 10 o'clock. I don't know about you, but Roland and I are ready to go get some food, so let's get out of here.
All right, we got one more. Thank you.
Jeff Grimes, 1314 Maplewood Drive. It's late. Thank you guys so much, and I'll try to be brief. So everybody said I hate the city.
No.
I do not hate the city. It would have been so much easier for me not even to get involved, trust me.
I think you love the city. That's why you're...
With a passion.
I know.
Okay? So I'm going to have a suggestion. I don't have my pinpoint or my pad, but I want to showcase this town and the bike path and our canals are an asset, okay? So my proposal is we don't have a Heritage Festival anymore. That brought a lot of people to town. Excuse me. The Underwear Festival kind of phased out. The Bike Fest kind of phased out. So how come we couldn't do something like a bicycle, a triathlon, maybe an Ironman that would start at like Smitty's? They have a bicycle shop, and then we could tweak it, maybe like kayaks on the canal, possibly. I'm not sure. I think it would be a great idea for our town that we would have some type of like a bicycle fest that could include the kids, amateurs, professionals, and it would showcase the whole town. If we started at Smitty's, you know, it could come down and we could go to the right and go to the canal, maybe do the kayaks or a canoe, then hop on maybe running. You know, we could have different types of tracks or, you know, levels. So I think that would be a great thing that the town should consider doing.
Okay,
So that was one of my ideas.
good idea.
And like I said, that would showcase all of town, and maybe we could all work together on getting something like that going. So,
Like it.
so my second thing would be, once again, no burning anything ever at 9300 State Route 66. And if you guys did want to do some type of a fire school, I do believe that there's a vacant lot over here that the old car wash used to be. That would be really close to the fire department, and it would be really close so that everybody could see it right over here. So fence that in and do the fire school over there. I didn't get a lot of my questions answered. Some of them I did, some I didn't. But another recommendation would be that the city manager and the law director, if they're going to speak to the public and answer questions, they should have to sit up here with you guys. Let's see. 73 people have left or been fired since the city manager took over. And he had given me that information, but I also would like a list of the people and the departments that this happened to. I haven't got a response back on 638 South Roosevelt that belonged to Jason Tillman. Was there any grant money available for that property? And if there was, and if there wasn't, why was this not used to help this gentleman out? That is heartbreaking, once again, to go through a fire and then have your house demolished. I never, ever want to see that happen in our town again.
On the
State,
property, on the one request you had on Tillman emails, Paul actually did give that to me. I actually forgot to get it. I have that. You can contact me, and I'll get it on a flash drive for you.
thank you. I want you to keep the BZA and the Planning Commission separate. So that would be like I go to the Planning Commission and they strike me down, and then if I try to get an appeal, it's going back to the same people that already struck me down. So I think that should be kept separate. And then, so a citizen should be able to get up and talk to other people during the meeting as long as they're not disrupting, because we go 2 weeks and then we don't feel that we're being heard, and then you guys discuss stuff. Well, we should have a chance to discuss stuff to counter your actions or words. Alicia Lang should not be trespassed. And how long will she be trespassed? I think you guys should reconsider that.
We are reconsidering that.
Thank
So
you.
we will work on that, yes.
So then, we found out that it costs $15,278 for the water testing, And I still haven't got an answer back on how much the soil testing costs. And we wouldn't have to go through this water testing or the soil testing if SRG would have not done this stuff out there. Maybe they should be responsible for paying those bills. I would also like a breakdown on, I get my bill every month that shows exactly what I've done. I want the breakdowns on 9300 State Route 66 to figure out how much the citizens paid for their utility bills. And then I want you guys to also check out, so it says in 2013 that 9300 State Route 66, the land was valued at $253,000. There was $446,100 in improvements, which made that worth $699,800. That was 2013. So then I can't find anything for 2014, 2015, 2016. But then in 2017, it says that the land is valued at $1,018,000. So it went from $253,000 to $1 million. The improvements were $6,926,900, giving that a total of $7,944,900. So we went from $700,000 to almost $8 million, and we built a $50 million water plant, a new one. So in 2021, the last thing that I can find is the land is valued at $902,000. The improvements were $8,515,300.
What's your question, Jeff? You're passing
What did we do for improvements on the old water plant out there that increased its value from $699,000 in 2013 to where it's worth $9,417,300 in 2021?
Yeah, we can look into it. It's a function of the assessor's office, has nothing to do with our valuation.
All right.
But
Thank you.
it says improvements.
Jeff, your time. I let you go.
Thank you.
Yep. And thank you for the suggestion of the triathlon. That's a real good idea. I hope we could get everybody together on that.
Motion to adjourn?
Anybody else? Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.